Welcome to MindShock. This is your host, Bruce McGuire, and you are listening to possibly the greatest podcast in the history of existence, the Steven Seagal Deep Dive Man, Myth, Legend, Part 2. Part 1 was only a little over 6.5 hours, so we just began to scratch the surface of this very unique individual known as Steven Seagal. This might very well be a podcast series, the podcast series event of the epoch, because I'm not sure how long it's going to take to cover the greatness of Seagal, to cover every aspect and variable involved in encompassing the many talents and abilities of Steven Seagal, and perhaps this will expose Seagal once and for all as being a guy. All this time people thought he was lying. He was embellishing. But after we present all the receipts, is this going to turn out to be a situation where Seagal was less than honest, but not in the direction people think? Is it possible Seagal has been downplaying his abilities this entire time? Is it possible we will be exploring that and more in typical MindShock fashion, with logic and reason at the forefront? If you find the podcast interesting and informative, you can donate to our PayPal. Just check the link in the description. You can also become a YouTube member right here on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, like and share Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, Patreon. Patrons do get priority for case topic, logical analysis, co-podcast requests. You could also be a guest on the podcast depending on your tier. Questions, comments, theories, thoughts, suggestions, rebuttals, debunkings, and of any kind, leave them in the comment section, or if you are listening to this live, in the live chat. So I'm pretty sure everybody listened to the 6.5 hour plus part 1 on Seagal. I mean, how could you not? But this part 2 is going to be even more mind-shocking. I have been working on an AI, a custom AI that can actually recover deleted videos from the internet. You heard that right, people. The great YouTube purge. There have actually been several purges. I've been working on an AI that can actually recover all those videos. I mean, we're talking literally millions of videos that have been purged. And guess what I found regarding Steven Seagal? All the MindShock listeners are in for a treat, because all of these lost videos and interviews that are going to make it all make sense. Was Steven Seagal in fact an Illuminati target, and can we prove it using the timeline? So, welcome to MindShock here. Everyone's minds are going to be shocked right off the bat. So in part one, I did touch upon the many allegations against Seagal and whether or not they were legitimate. I said we wouldn't be going too far into it, but we are now. That seems to be what everybody wants to talk about. All the Seagal haters that are having meltdown after meltdown at the mere existence of this podcast, they all say that Seagal fled the United States after these charges. Quick recap from part 1. 1991, during the filming of Out for Justice, Ryan Malone, Nicole Sellinger, and Christine Keeve accused Seagal of harassment. So there was no RAPE allegation of any kind. Supposedly, this was some kind of advances possibly non-reciprocated. So here's the thing. Harassment is such a broad claim. Is making a joke harassment, particularly, let's say, an inappropriate joke? I mean, I don't know. I mean, the other incident is Jenny McCarthy saying that Seagal asked her to undress during an audition for Under Siege 2. Now, here's the thing. If an adult asks another adult to do something, there's no violation of the will in any kind. The other adult refuses and leaves. I mean, was there truly a crime committed here? I mean, an adult asks a question. I mean, if a man tells a woman to undress, or a woman tells a man to undress, they decline the request and leave. Was a crime committed? I mean, I don't know. Is this controversial? I mean, if an adult makes a request of another adult, I mean, maybe they abide by the request of their free will. Maybe they turn down the request and leave. Is that specifically a crime? Now, obviously, putting your hands on somebody is a completely different thing. I mean, you can't violate somebody's will. So, yeah, we don't really know what kind of advances were made here. Was this some kind of drunk party where Seagal maybe put his arm around somebody's shoulder and maybe leaned in, and they didn't like that and they pushed him away? I mean, that's technically harassment, right? So, I mean, I don't know the extent of that crime, especially if both parties were drunk and who knows what was going on. But either way, there was $50,000 out-of-court settlements. It was all public. It came forward right away. So those seems like maybe something did happen there. We don't know the extent of that. In 1995, there was a case regarding threatening and beating. And this was thrown out. Now, again, if Seagal really did it, I mean, that's messed up. But apparently there was zero evidence. And then there is nothing for 15 years until Kaden Nguyen's lawsuit, which she dropped for undisclosed reasons. Okay, now fast forward to 2017 for the latest allegations. Now, keep in mind, Seagal's already living in Russia at this time. So is he truly a clairvoyant who knew, as he claims, I mean, as Seagal claims here, Seagal's made a lot of claims, and we're attempting to go through all of them.
I was born clairvoyant.
So if he really was born clairvoyant, and he knew that these allegations would be coming out against him, did he preemptively move to Russia? Because a lot of people are saying he moved to Russia to escape these charges, which came after the move. So, here is what we are gonna do. We're going into MINDSHOCK land. I have uncovered deleted videos from the internet, and we're going to put together a timeline here. We're going to put together a timeline. I hope everybody's sitting down for this, because we are digging deep in the ultimate Steven Seagal podcast. So after we're done with this timeline, it's all going to make sense, people, unless it's all mere coincidence. Hope everybody's sitting down. So, Exhibit A. Steven Seagal has been vocal against... This video is actually still on the internet. Steven Seagal has spoken at some political conferences. I don't know if people know this. He's been quite vocal against a certain individual. A certain individual who other people who have been vocal against have ended up unalived. I mean, I don't know who could unalive Seagal, so, but let's listen to this little clip here. So this is from, here's the timeline here. This is February 22nd, 2014.
This next gentleman, when the idea was kicked around that he might run for governor on our show, I just told him a few minutes ago I'm a big fan, and there's so many of his films that have had the three-word name, Hard to Kill, Out for Justice. So I said, if you're going to run for governor, you got to have a three-word campaign slogan.
Steven Seagal was considering running for governor in 2014.
In to win. Ballots of blood. Ladies and gentlemen, Steven Seagal.
Once again, the date here is February 22nd, 2014.
Well, believe it or not, I had no idea that I was going to be speaking tonight, so I really am not going to fit into the characteristic funny. Everybody's funny tonight. What I have to say is quite serious.
I mean, look at Seagal. Even his impromptu skills are off the charts. Did they not tell him he was going to be speaking? Did they just tell him a second ago, go give a speech? I mean, this guy... I mean, is there anything Seagal can't do?
And what I really want to say is, never in my life did I ever believe that our country would be taken over by people like the people who are running it at this day.
So here we have Steven Seagal, a modern-day Paul Revere, literally putting his life on the line to warn the entire world of what is coming as early as 2014.
And I think that when we have a leadership that thinks that the Constitution of the United States of America is a joke, when we have a president who has almost 1,000 executive orders now, when we have...
This is 2014.
A Department of Justice that thinks that any kind of a judicial system that they make up as they're going along can get by with whatever they decide that they want to do. Like Ted Nugent said, the Fast and the Furious. What's happened with the Fast and the Furious? What's happened with the truth about any of some of the greatest scandals in American history that have happened right before our eyes?
Isn't it funny how a lot of goofs still hallucinate that there were no scandals with Obama? I mean, he's possibly had more scandals than any other president.
If the truth about Benghazi were to come out now, I don't think that this man would make it through his term. I think he would be impeached.
Steven Seagal blowing the whistle on Obama, a modern-day Paul Revere. And this isn't even the videos these aren't even the videos that got deleted, so you guys better buckle up.
Yeah, America's a great country. It really is a great country because it's a country where we have designed a system based on the Constitution where we have freedom of speech, we're allowed to disagree and say what we want to say, and
we're live, Dirty Clean 555. Interesting name you got there.
should not be persecuted for it. But on the same token, those who have something to say that is too controversial really have to be very, very careful. And I think right now we're at that sort of tipping point where whether you are a Democrat or a Republican, we have to realize that we have to put the parties aside and all to come together as Americans and realize we have to take this country back. Thank you.
Is anybody surprised why they wanted to silence this man based on that speech alone? So let's move on to Exhibit B. Exhibit B here. We are moving forward. This is also, I believe this is still, actually, this, we're going to InfoWars, my friends. Looky here. What do we have here? Is it Steven Seagal and Alex Jones? The dynamic duo that could have brought down the entire cabal. So then they had to go hard after Seagal. Is this what caused the purges of YouTube in the first place? Could the internet not handle Steven Seagal and Alex Jones joining forces to vanquish all of the evil, the Illuminati cabal trying to destroy the world? I mean, this is very curious, but before that, Seagal went into enemy territory, appearing on Piers Morgan, September 27th, 2017. He goes into enemy territory, blowing the whistle. And is this the beginning of the end here? Was this tipping point that he was trying to prevent? Was he too late? Was Paul Revere not heeded? Were his warnings not heeded? And was there an active, concerted effort to shut down this patriot from all of the truth he was spitting?
Really be honest here, Pierce. Let's be really honest. Every country is involved in espionage. Every single country. The American spy, the British spy, the Russian spy, we all spy on each other. Let's be honest. However, for anyone to think that Vladimir Putin had anything to do with fixing the elections, or even that the Russians have that kind of technology, is stupid.
You know what else is kind of crazy? A lot of goofs think that Seagal simply disappeared from the public eye when he wasn't making movies or he wasn't making theatrical releases. I mean, this man literally put his life on the line and was quite active politically. And let's examine the timeline here of the so-called takedown attempt, coincidentally coinciding with the entire Weinstein situation. So we have a coincidence stack a mile high here, and we're just getting started. And yes, I was actually able to recover the deleted videos of Seagal's appearances on Alex Jones's show. But first, let's look at this.
To do it, male against female, black against white. And they're already kneeling and bitching and complaining at all the major football games and saying America's bad and acting like, you know, that the American flag is a KKK uniform or something. And so Trump says, I'm sick of this crap. You're a bunch of un-American garbage. You can kick somebody out of the game for doing an end zone celebration. You can kick them out of the game for saying they, hate America. And then they all whined and, oh, you need to be impeached, and, oh, you're in trouble, and, oh, the NFL, they showed solidarity with all the owners and all the players. Trump's in trouble. And I told you Saturday, day one, they're going to say he's in trouble on Sunday. They're all going to lock arms. They're all going to have solidarity. They're all going to try to show the world that the NFL's king. But by later in the week, they're going to announce the NFL is crippled forever and has committed suicide, and they'll be in full retreat.
Not sure what he's going on about here, but here's the Seagal segment coming up.
And exactly as I said has now been announced. And I only tell you that because these are very clear things. We just finally are standing up. And that's why the globalists are so panicked and are throwing everything they've got out there now, because none of their bull works. Russian agents.
I mean, Seagal's kind of crazy, though, because Seagal's literally a real-life superhero. I mean, he's this comfortable Hollywood star with millions of dollars, several different families on different continents. I mean, he actually got married to the Mongolian dancer, the Mongolian palace dancer, in 2009. So he could be living a quiet life, occasionally showing up and killing people in a couple of movies, and doing some Aikido seminars, and training some MMA champs. But no, the man literally puts his life on the line, going public, blowing the whistle on the Illuminati cabal. I mean, how does this guy have any haters? How many of these goof haters, coincidence theorists, authority-worshipping cultists, if they had even 1% of the money Seagal has, if they had even 1% of the families on multiple continents Seagal has, if they had even 1% of the Aikido or any martial arts demo schedules that Seagal has, would they be going on Piers Morgan and Alex Jones and putting their life on the line, blowing the whistle? Seriously, take a step back and think about it.
KKK, all this garbage. Now, this interview's up on Infowars.com, PrisonPlanet.com, Newswars.com. Please get it out, a Dan Lyman article. Seagal, enemies within, blocking Trump agenda. NFL kneelers are disgusting. Renaissance man says leftover Obamanites working to overthrow Trump. Here it is.
And we have just, you know, a ton of enemies within. We have these, you know, Democrats that have this whole other agenda to kind of, when I say Democrats, it's not just the Democrats, but there are this whole group of leftover Obamaites and people who feel that they should really sort of kind of overthrow Trump, and any decisions he makes, anything that he tries to do, he gets blocked so often from, you know, sort of the enemies within.
Dirty Clean 555 in the chat says, I used to be a hater, but no longer. Now I got a big up, mad props, lots of respect for my main man, Steven Seagal. Justin Johnson says, I'll also take back half of the things I said about Seagal. Well, Justin Johnson, when we're done with the podcast, we'll see if you take back the other half as well, because I just started to drop the receipts. We're not even close to getting them all out there. And also, so quick reminder on the timeline here. This is September 27th, 2017. Seagal is already a Russian citizen living in Russia.
So it's very difficult for him to do anything.
But when you see this ongoing debate right now about patriotism, the American flag, the anthem...
Also notice how on his best behavior Piers Morgan is. Piers Morgan's usually like this interrupting, triggered goof. Notice how polite he is in the presence, in the digital presence of Steven Seagal. I've never seen him this restrained.
Black football players taking the knee as a mark of protest about racial division and injustice in America. Do you agree with Trump that it's disrespectful, or do you think actually going to one knee is not an entirely disrespectful way of making a point?
I mean, I guess really what I'd like to say is this. I believe in free speech. I believe that everyone's entitled to their own opinion, but I don't agree that they should hold the United States of America or the world hostage by taking a venue where people are tuning in to watch a football game and, you know, imposing their political views. I think it's outrageous. I think it's a joke. It's disgusting. And, you know, I respect him.
Notice how Piers is not interrupting. I've never seen Piers Morgan not interrupt someone for this stream of time.
American flag, and I myself, you know, have risked my life countless times for the American flag.
He said he risked his life countless times, and he continues to do so. With someone who didn't work for the CIA, with someone who didn't stare death in the face day in and day out like Seagal, be going on Piers Morgan, be going on InfoWars, and blowing the whistle on the Illuminati cabal.
And I don't understand or agree with this kind of behavior. I think it's an outrage.
There will be some people, Stephen, who will be watching this interview. He's saying that and think you sound like a great patriotic guy, but they'll also see you in Moscow and being very complimentary about Vladimir Putin, who many Americans believe fixed the US election, which is why Donald Trump became president. You know, how do you juggle the fact that a lot of your...
All right, stay right there. We're going to go to break, come back with the next hour, get to that, a bunch of other clips, your calls, guests, you name it. Again, you can't even go to Moscow without being called a Russian, or you can't go there and organize fights or go there and make movies. That's why I'm going to go to Russia soon.
Heracles in the chat says he tried to stare death in the face, but death averted his eyes.
I mean, I'm not going to be controlled what I do. Like,
I mean, this guy couldn't even be intimidated by the Gambino crime family. I mean, he didn't even pay them. They claimed that they intimidated him, but he appears to have not paid them a single cent and testified against them, putting away dozens of mobsters and not even going into witness protection. Is there any other individual out there that has put away this many mobsters in testifying without going into witness protection? There wasn't even a hint of a desire to go into witness protection. I mean, this is the man that knows no fear.
I'm a Russian agent, or Steven Seagal is, because we love the American flag and want to make America great again. That's why they hate Russia, because Russia has become a sovereign nation again. It's ridiculous. So, you've got Piers Morgan, who I really dislike, because I know people...
Is there anybody who likes Piers Morgan?
that know him, and I know that he's a closet conservative. And back when we had our famous debate almost 4 years ago.
Good point, Lord Zed. People often ask what took down the mafia. Little do they know. It seems after Seagal, they really haven't had a lot of power. I mean, think about it. They were whacking people left and right. Then Steven Seagal comes along, locks most of them away, and apparently they don't have that much influence anymore.
On CNN that they admit destroyed his career, basically.
Pinto Sack with very astute question. Has Steven Seagal ever arm wrestled? I don't know, but that would be the match of the century. John Brzenk, the greatest athlete of all time. 3 decades of dominance against Steven Seagal. That would definitely sell out.
When I called him out, people behind the scenes said, no, Morgan actually likes guns. He's really a conservative. And then later, we learned that's the case. And when liberals stop funding him, he goes back to England and becomes more of a conservative and has been pro-Trump. But he's, again, riding the fence here, saying to Steven Seagal with that amazing red square behind him, saying, well, okay, you claim you love America, but you're in Russia. And I love how Putin said to Megyn Kelly in an interview, he said, Megyn, you keep saying Trump's bad for meeting me twice, you know, since he was president. Megyn, you're constantly meeting me over the years. That means you're a Russian agent. None of this even makes sense. I guarantee you, when I go to Russia, I'm going to do the same shot with red square behind me. Very iconic.
And we'll get into Megyn Kelly as well.
I want to see the Middle East. I want to see Russia. I've seen all over Europe and places. If I go to Germany, it doesn't mean I'm German. If I go to Baghdad, it doesn't mean I'm an Iraqi. And this is the mental illness where they want to bully everybody with political correctness now that, oh, it's the Russians too. You're not just a racist, Mr. Seagal, for supporting Trump, as the media said. Now, you're something even worse. You're a Ruski agent. So here's Piers Morgan at it again.
There will be some people, Stephen, who will be watching this interview. He's saying that and think you sound like a great patriotic guy, but they'll also see you in Moscow and being very complimentary about Vladimir Putin, who many Americans believe fixed the US election, which is why Donald Trump became president. You know, how do you juggle the fact that a lot of your fellow Americans are pretty unhappy about this?
Why don't we really be honest here, Piers? Let's be really honest.
I don't think Piers knows how to do that. Is Seagal not aware that Piers doesn't know how to do that?
Every country is involved in espionage. Every single country. The American spy, the British spy, the Russian spy, we all spy on each other.
I mean, this is Paul Revere preaching to the masses, putting his life on the line. I mean, this is crazy.
Let's be honest. However, for anyone to think that Vladimir Putin had anything to do with fixing the elections, or even that the Russians have that kind of technology, is stupid. And, you know, we have a situation here where really all of this is happening, in my opinion, from astronomical propaganda, and this kind of propaganda is really a diversion, you know, from creating a diversion so that the people in the United States of America won't really see what's happening.
I mean, has anybody spit that much truth on Piers Morgan ever? This guy just blew the whistle on the entire propaganda machine. And again, let's keep the timeline in mind, because we're gonna truly shock some minds here. For all the Seagal haters, we're gonna shock some minds. Again, this is September 27th, 2017.
And I think most of the people in the United States of America and most of the people in Russia want to like each other, you know, and we need each other. Russia and America should be great allies.
I mean, look at him blowing the whistle on the statist cult. I mean, this man is for the common people.
And that's the way it should be.
Well, I think that's absolutely right. I agree with you. Final question, Stephen. What are you up to?
Is that the first time? Is that the first time Piers Morgan agreed with a guest? I mean, I don't know. Like, I mean, it would be funny to see him try to talk trash to Seagal, but...
Movie-wise at the moment, any big movies coming?
You know, I just finished a movie called Attrition. It's a movie about human trafficking. It's a movie about kung fu. It's a movie...
I mean, I call me a blasphemer. I have to admit, I have not seen Attrition. I will say I have every single Seagal film in the physical medium. I celebrate this man's entire catalog, but I cannot say that I've watched all the films. But he's blowing the whistle on trafficking in his 2018 movie, Attrition. This is everybody's assignment for the next Q&A. Or this podcast might become an entire Seagal series. I mean, yeah, everybody better be up to date on Seagal's entire film catalog.
Movie about honor and great action movie. I'm just doing the post for it in Asia right now. And
all right, so that's Steven Seagal. I want to get him on the show. I talk to folks that know him. They say he's a listener. I told that like 10 years ago. And you're just like, oh, yeah, Seagal's a listener. And then you see all this. He's clearly a very, very awake. By the way, they always spin that he says Putin's one of the greatest world leaders. The Council on Foreign Relations and the CIA have said Putin's the most powerful man in the world until Trump came along because he's actually president. he actually is calling shots. You understand how that works? Yes, if you actually have a real president of a major country, they have a lot of power. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
You betcha, RM. I've seen every single Seagal movie through Half Past Dead, I want to say. And I've seen some random ones up to now. But I did miss Attrition, and I missed... Actually, I watched Belly of the Beast, which was 2003. I probably watched all of them through maybe 2011, actually. Now, okay, so let's get the timeline straight, people. So he was made political statements against Obama February 22nd, 2014. He goes on Piers Morgan, literally putting his life on the line, September 27th, 2017. Now, we are going to the deleted episode of Seagal on Alex Jones, scrubbed from the internet, which I have managed to recover in its entirety. January 15th, 2018. Now let's keep the timeline here. Keep in mind the timeline. So September 27th, 2017, Seagal goes on Piers Morgan and starts blowing the whistle. Major blowing of the whistle. September 2017. So what happens a couple weeks later? A couple weeks later, out of the blue, now keep in mind, Seagal's already in Russia. Out of the blue, Ellen DeGeneres' wife, Portia de Rossi, accuses Seagal of sexual harassment November 9th, 2017. A couple weeks after Seagal is on Illuminati puppet Piers Morgan's show. Then Illuminati puppet Ellen DeGeneres, her wife, the wife of Illuminati puppet Ellen DeGeneres, comes out with this claim with an unspecified date to the claim. So who knows how many decades prior she's alleging this happens. What else happens the same exact day? We have here from The Wrap, Dutch model Fabiola Datis tells The Wrap that Seagal SA'd her. The same day that Portia de Rossi comes out with a vague claim. This is just a few weeks after Seagal, and her claim is that this was during... I believe, let's double check this claim. I believe it was quite old as well. This was... Oh, she didn't say? Years earlier? How many years? Around 2002, auditioning for an epic about Genghis Khan, which this movie was never even made. So, who knows what happened here? But it's on the same day that Ellen DeGeneres' wife comes forward, this Dutch model comes forward. So this is just a few weeks. All of a sudden, the Illuminati target is on Steven Seagal. Now, you know what else is breaking at this exact same time? The Weinstein situation. Harvey Weinstein has dozens and dozens of women come out against him at the end of 2017. So is the Seagal thing an entire diversion because he's putting his life on the line? Now, he even used that exact word. Diversion. He talked about media propaganda and diversion a few weeks after these women started coming out of the woodwork with unsubstantiated claims. Neither one of them apparently filed any kind of police reports or said anything at the time to anybody, at least that has been corroborated. I mean, is this all coincidental? Is it all mere coincidence? I mean, they had 15 years to come up with charges. Not a peep until he goes on Piers Morgan and blows the whistle on the Illuminati cabal? Not a peep? Now, what do we have here? January 15, with the Weinstein situation in full tilt. We have another woman coming forward here, January 15th. Rachel Grant. Apparently there was a film rehearsal in 2002. So not a single iota of a peep until after Seagal blows the whistle on the Illuminati cabal on Piers Morgan. Does anybody find this strange? Does anybody find it strange at all? Now, I will be presenting in its entirety, if we don't get shut down by YouTube right now, the full deleted interview with Steven Seagal on Alex Jones the day after the January 14th allegation here. This has not seen the light of day since it was aired in the YouTube purges. So who's ready for this? This is a MindShock exclusive, the utilization of AI to recover deleted videos from the internet.
Getting involved in this also, I'm not going to say too much right now, but I will say that from the deep web to Hollywood to Washington to all over the United States of America, we have people now that are looking deep. We are now blessed by being infused with people high up in the government, not just the United States of America. People are coming in and helping us in the deep web all over the United States of America with money, with intelligence. We are gathering intelligence to pass to the right people. I'm not going to say too much about this because I'm getting highly involved in this too.
Now, if Seagal didn't have high-level CIA intelligence agency connections, how would he even be able to be involved in any of this? I mean, the amount of whistleblowing Seagal is doing here, I mean, he might go down in the history books as another Julian Assange. I mean, this guy is absolutely putting his life on the line, this multi-millionaire actor. I mean, people really don't understand and appreciate the greatness that is Steven Seagal. I mean, is this another Assange? Is this another Chelsea Manning? Is this another Edward Snowden? I mean, not only is he like the modern day Paul Revere, but his absolute fearlessness in the face of the Illuminati cabal going absolutely public on the Alex Jones show here. I mean, this is absolutely crazy. This is the deleted, the scrubbed from the internet January 15th, 2018 interview.
And we think we're going to start to pierce that veil of evil and be able to start.
Pierce the veil of evil. I mean, has anybody spit this much truth?
Aiding in the apprehension and conviction of a lot of the scum that's out there.
And what kind of scum that's out there is he talking about? I mean, if this isn't Illuminati whistleblowing, I don't know what is. This is the full unedited interview.
Of course, famous a black belt in martial arts, a friend of Vladimir Putin, of course, a friend of President Trump, a friend of so many, and of course, a well-known American patriot.
Again, the people that say he could not have been in the CIA, how does this guy's friends with more leaders than anybody else? I mean, Dennis Rodman might be tight with North Korea, but he doesn't seem to be tight with another few dozen world leaders like Seagal,
who we notice has been demonized in the press quite a bit as of late. In fact, I noticed just last Friday, and then a few weeks before that, on the same shows of Stephen Colbert, I'm attacked, and then next is Steven Seagal.
And keep in mind, this is all because of his appearance. Let's keep this timeline in mind here. Steven Seagal goes on Piers Morgan. He goes on Piers Morgan, one of the most watched shows, I don't know how, but one of the most watched shows on the mainstream idiot box. At the end of September, within weeks, there are allegations against him from certain individuals. And now there's an entire smear campaign, a propaganda smear campaign launched against Seagal. And keep in mind, there was no mention of Gene LeBell choking him out before this smear campaign.
One voice of calm in these troubled times is right-wing radio host and furious cashew Alex Jones.
We'll be right back with funny man Steven Seagal.
They've got a script. It is simply incredible. And
you know what's really funny? Seagal explicitly called out the propaganda in the Piers Morgan interview. The propaganda that didn't even start against him until after that interview.
then next they go into Trump. And I've been told by people inside entertainment, inside so-called news, that we are on a hit list. And you know George Soros is also on record, funding Media Matters and others, literally coming out of the woodwork against everything we're doing because we are nationalist, because we're promoting peace and justice, because we don't want to have war with Russia, because we're concerned about communist China. These are all the things that if you check them off on the box, makes the deep state come after you. Well, Steven Seagal has also now written a best-selling book dealing with the wolves of the deep state, dealing with all the incredible things that
So again, as part of the timeline here, so he writes this book at the beginning that's released right after his interview on Piers Morgan against the Illuminati cabal. Then he blows the whistle on Piers Morgan, and then the smear campaign starts.
Are happening. But the main reason I'm very excited to have Mr. Seagal on today is to deal with this incredibly clear deep state operation with Gloria Allred and her daughter, Lisa Bloom, where they go after everybody that is a nationalist, a libertarian, a conservative, anybody that is even halfway nice to President Trump. And it's come out in The Hill, in Fox News, even the Associated Press, that attorney Lisa Bloom sought to line up paydays for women accusing Trump of sexual misconduct, and she gets 30+% in contracts that were secret, that were leaked, of all of the payments that the women get from the media.
So again, I didn't even know that this was her. So all of this Lisa Bloom backroom dealing, that's why she was smiling with the dollar signs in her eyes during those clips of the women accusing Seagal. Now, if these claims are legitimate, wouldn't you think that Seagal accusers, would at least get, there's no shortage of attorneys out there. Why would they go with the attorney that's been exposed for backroom dealing? I mean, that seems kind of weird, doesn't it? That seems kind of weird. Yeah, I believe that song was 2014, April.
When you realize this, it makes your head spin because she also defends Mr. Weinstein, Harvey Weinstein, who we have a whole bunch of people, including a chauffeur.
This is kind of weird. Wait, why is she defending... So she's defending Weinstein, who's legitimately this scumbag criminal with literally 80-plus accusers. But she also represents the two women accusing Seagal. Is this kind of weird for anybody? Is this kind of weird? So Seagal has two accusers here, or if you want to count the two that didn't make police reports, like Ellen's wife and that other model, that's 4 against Seagal. And for whatever reason, this attorney, Bloom, is defending Weinstein against 80 plus accusers. And she's representing the two accusers against Seagal. Is this making sense yet, people? I mean, quite a curious timeline. I mean, not a peep until Seagal blows the whistle on Piers Morgan. Not a peep. As soon as he blows the whistle on the cabal, Harvey Weinstein, part of the cabal, Harvey Weinstein's lawyer represents those accusing Seagal after he came out against the cabal.
That said he would rape women in front of them. But, she is defending Harvey Weinstein. This is incredible, and they're building all this up. They admit it, to go after President Trump because it was Bill Clinton's documented improprieties with women and the settlements he made that are one of the reasons Hillary lost. So they said, what are we going to do? We've been caught in bed with foreign governments. Let's blame Trump. Oh, my gosh, we've been caught in settled cases of women being raped. What are we going to do with the whole lock her up, Hillary for prison movement that we launched here in InfoWars? Project it on to innocent people that we see as a threat. And Steven Seagal.
Alex Jones still seems semi-sane here.
Because of his close relationship with President Putin, and because he's been a peacemaker, and because he's been a goodwill ambassador, because his a part of his family are from Russia, has now come under total deep state attack. Now, that's my statement on it. Let's get right to Mr. Seagal, who says he's going to give us a wide-ranging, in-depth interview on this, on what he says he has evidence and intel on pedophile networks in Hollywood.
Did you guys just hear that? Did you guys just hear what Alex Jones just said regarding what information Steven Seagal is going to be presenting? He's presenting information specifically against the Hollywood trafficking cabal. Now, this is all going down at the beginning of 2018 as Harvey Weinstein is all of this information is being made public. Now we're post-Weinstein, post-Epstein, post-P. Diddy. If you haven't checked out the P. Diddy podcast on MindShock, check it out, as well as the Illuminati Humiliation Ritual podcast. Is it coincidental that this entire interview was scrubbed from the internet? Is it coincidental that this entire anti-Seagal propaganda was only rolled out after his appearance on Piers Morgan?
And that they're using all of this as well to try to cover up what's happening there. So here we go. Mr. Seagal from Japan, thank you for joining us.
Well, let me start out by saying that today's Martin Luther King Day. He was a tremendous patriot, an amazing force in American history, and I'm honored to be here on your show and to be able to pay homage to Martin Luther King today. First off, let me start by saying that I love the United States of America and the Constitution, and as you have said, I am a patriot, and I think that this in and of itself, along with what I would consider, what many people consider, saying about me that I know too much about things that they don't want me to know about. I talk about things they don't want me to talk about, so this becomes, very problematic for certain people. Fascinating when you're talking about Lisa Bloom, because it sounds to me like what you're saying is that she's procuring money to pay to women to lie about certain people and make ruthless accusations about certain people.
And it is kind of weird. Out of all of the scumbags in Hollywood, like Weinstein and his ilk, which is most of them, maybe not all of them, but most, out of all the scum, they're going after Seagal, who hasn't been A-list in how long? When was the last time Seagal had a theatrical release? And they come after him? Harvey Weinstein's attorney comes after him? This is kind of weird. Does nobody else find this kind of weird?
And it's not just President Trump. And by the way, this isn't just about me, because hundreds of people in Hollywood have been attacked, and hundreds of people in Hollywood have been, in my opinion, falsely accused. Certainly, if we look at a number of 100%, my opinion is that 60% of these people are completely innocent, and that includes me. And what nobody wants to talk about is that when you accuse somebody, really, according to the Constitution of the United States of America, you should have some kind of due process before you ruin their life. There should be evidence, there should be proof, there should be witnesses. And in most of these cases, they're 20, 25, 30 years old. They're not providing evidence or proof or witnesses. They're just throwing out accusations. They push a button on a computer, and all of a sudden somebody's life is ruined. And they are able to ruin their livelihood, their ability to earn money, their ability to feed their family, their name, their reputation, their marriage, all that stuff. And you know what I hate, Alex? These people don't care. They have a political agenda where they want to assassinate anybody that they think is in the opposite camp or opposes their political agenda, or it's just women who are taking money. And I love what you said when you said fake press are just as guilty as the dirty people who pay the dirty girls who take money to lie.
Shocking revelations there from Steven Seagal. Downright shocking. Is anybody surprised that this interview was completely memory holed and scrubbed for the internet? I mean, thanks to AI using their own tools against them to bring back truth and justice.
That's right. In fact, I mean, I wrote that months ago that the real villains here are the big organized political systems, particularly the Democratic Party, that are kingpins at this, who go out, organize this, then pay the women, and then the press goes along with it and magnifies it. And then if there's just an accusation like the Prairie Home Companion guy, the woman hugged him, she had a short top on, he touched her back, and then he was fired. I mean, this is crazy.
Done. I mean, when people say, and I want to, also thank Liam Neeson for coming out and being brave enough to say something. When people say it's a witch hunt, it's worse than any witch hunt America's ever seen. When people say it's McCarthyism, it's worse than McCarthyism. And the sad part is everybody, from every agent to every studio head to every actress, they're all afraid to come out and tell the truth.
I mean, think about the irony of what he's saying. That all these other cowards, they're not like Seagal. They don't have his determination. They don't have his ability. They don't have his sheer fearlessness in the face of evil. I mean, this man literally stared down the Gambino crime family and then put them out of business. I mean, Seagal smacking down the mob. I mean, has any other crime family even managed to thrive after Seagal's smackdown of the mob? I mean, this is crazy. This man fears nobody, not the Illuminati cabal, nobody, and he's calling out all the cowards, and he's bringing up McCarthyism, and this is worse than that, the irony that this interview, Alex Jones' entire channel was brought down and canceled. The irony of what Seagal is saying here.
And this is what's outrageous, and this is what's killing America. And by the way, Alex, you know who's behind these people who are working the fake press and people who are just doing this for whatever, whether it's money or wanting to be famous or wanting to assassinate their enemies. We have a situation here where this is ruining our country. And if you know, and you do, who's behind this, really, this is treasonous. This is going to, if we don't change legislation that will stop these people from doing this, I think America will eventually collapse.
Wow, bold predictions from Seagal here. The collapse of America if this isn't stopped. Compare the state of America at the beginning of in mid-January here during this interview. This was January 15th, 2018 to today. If only we had heeded the words, the embodiment of Paul Revere, the spirit of George Washington that burns in Seagal's soul here, the reincarnation of llamas and possibly even Genghis Khan here. If only people had heeded the words of Seagal, would we be living in the 2024 America that we're living in now? I mean, this is crazy stuff here. I mean, Seagal blowing the whistle here, possibly harder than anybody has ever blown the whistle before. I mean, even his whistleblowing skills are off the chart. I mean, does anybody blow the whistle better than Seagal?
And I think these people who are doing this are guilty of treason. I think that...
You know the other thing? If anybody else had called out the people Seagal is calling out, I mean, they would have been eliminated. But here's the issue with Seagal. Let's say a CIA agent gets the or whatever agent gets the assignment, go take out Seagal. I mean, I don't think that agent's even gonna try. I mean, even if you're a well-trained CIA agent, I mean, who wants that suicide assignment of trying to take out Seagal? I mean, if it was anybody else, who could spit the truth that Seagal spit? Like, let's put this in perspective, people. Seagal goes to Japan as a 17-year-old, and the Yakuza can't even take him out? He's teaching Japanese people their own Japanese martial arts style, and nobody can even, he doesn't even catch a beat down. There's not a single photo in existence of Steven Seagal even having a scratch on him. From not only his days in Japan, but from his days in the U.S. Does a photo exist of Steven Seagal having even a scratch on him? I mean, this guy went head-to-head with the Yakuza, stared them down, and continued teaching Aikido in their own country. In their own country. I mean, the only man that might have beat down Steven Seagal was Bruce Lee, and we'll get to that. Cassidy Smoke in the chat here asking, why would the Yakuza want him dead? We went over this in episode 1. He was apparently being flirtatious with a Yakuza member's girlfriend, and there was some kind of situation. Apparently, the allegation was that Seagal called in some kind of favor with the mob back in Japan, but that's unclear. That's unclear exactly what happened. What is clear is that a single photo doesn't exist of Steven Seagal with even a scratch on him. So from his days in Japan to coming to the U.S., taking over Hollywood, staring down the Gambino crime family. He puts the Gambino crime family out of business single-handedly with his testimony. I mean, no other crime family even dared rise up after Seagal smacked down organized crime in the U.S. Now he's smacking down the Illuminati, and he's still breathing. I mean, who else can accomplish what Steven Seagal has accomplished in his lifetime? He's blowing the whistle on the CIA itself in a theatrical movie with Above the Law. We went over that in episode 1. And he's still breathing? He disrespects the Gambino crime family, doesn't pay them a cent. sends them running, incarcerates dozens of them, and doesn't even need to go into witness protection. Now he's blowing the whistle. He's writing books, going on Piers Morgan and Alex Jones, and not only is he still breathing, but he's walking around free. He's strolling through Moscow. He's sashaying through random American cities, which we'll get into. He still regularly visits the U.S. He's swaggering through every country in the world without even breaking a sweat that somebody will be able to take him out. I mean, look at all these other people. Look at all these other people, all these other whistleblowers holed up in embassies. I mean, this is kind of crazy. Like, they're all fearing for their lives. Seagal's walking around without a care in the world. I mean, just compare the whistleblower ability of Steven Seagal. And not to mention, you know, his guitar playing and vocal skills, which went over in episode 1. I mean, can this guy be a mere mortal? Is he some kind of interdimensional entity? I mean, to go up against literally the most powerful people in the world. He goes up against the most powerful people in Japan with the Yakuza. He blows the whistle in a mainstream theatrical film on the CIA in America. Nobody can do anything about it. He stares down the mafia, puts away dozens of them by openly testifying against them. And nobody can still touch this guy. Nobody can touch this guy. This is crazy.
Treason is one of the biggest, nastiest crimes that one can commit in the United States of America. As you know, if convicted, it can be punishable by death.
Wow, what a cliffhanger. This is the first segment of a wide-ranging interview that Mr. Seagal has agreed to do. Ladies and gentlemen, Martin Luther King Day. What an incredible individual that said judge people on the character of their deeds and the content of actually what they do, not off rumors, not off lies, but off the fruits of what they stand for. And now any man gets accused, Hollywood, the media gangs up on it, and their career, their life, their family is destroyed. We'll be right back with Steven Seagal on the other side. I'm Alex Jones, and this is The InfoWar. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back on this Monday transmission. Steven Seagal, live, unedited. You're going to be able to actually hear from him what he actually stands for and what he believes. I know every time I see him on U.S. or British or Russian or Japanese television, it's amazing what he's saying. And every time we play clips on the show, it's some of the most viral videos that we put out. But it's always 3, 4, 5 minutes on a show. He said he'll stay with us over an hour. So enough of Alex Jones. Let's go right back to Steven Seagal. Steven, we just left off for folks that joined us. You said this covert deep state action, which they admit they're involved in, it's in the WikiLeaks, to target the globalist enemies with fake sexual charges being directed by the most dirty system in the world, Hollywood, is threatening to bring down the country. And I think that really is their plan. Please continue with what you were saying earlier.
The most genius thing that they have done is they figured out a way to control most of Hollywood. They figured out a way to control 99% of the press. Once they did that, they felt that they could control the minds and the future of most of the average citizens in the United States of America. This was a complete tragedy, and this isn't just about me. As you know, it's hundreds of people now in Hollywood and around the world. People like Richard Branson, who's done nothing but good for the United States and other countries. I mean, you know, it's hundreds of people that have been accused, and many of those people are completely and absolutely innocent. And as far as I'm concerned, almost all of them are completely innocent until you've given them due process. And that's why I think it needs to become criminal if people wantingly and knowingly make up false things that can destroy people's lives without evidence, proof, witnesses, stuff like that. It's hundreds of people, Alex. Hundreds of people whose lives they've broken. Hundreds.
Well, it's a total hysteria now. And again, it's like Liam Neeson said, if you pat a woman on the knee, you're not assaulting them. And now in some areas of the world, like Switzerland, the government's saying get a contract before you even have a relationship. Well, whatever happened to passion? I mean, whatever happened to Elvis is on the stage and young women are throwing their underwear at him? I mean, is that a form of rape? Are they raping Elvis? I mean, this is crazy. And now they're saying schools are going to...
It's been completely one-sided. It's been completely one-sided. You and I know we have wives, we have children. I would die for a stranger if I had to.
How many people could say that? Listen to the conviction in Seagal's voice. This man would lay his life down for a stranger. I mean, is this a real-life superhero or what? Is Steven Seagal the last real-life superhero?
As a police officer, any day of my life, I would have thrown my life down on the line to save the life of a child, of an innocent person, of women and children. We herald and support all the women who've really been abused. But this movement is annihilating their chances because all of this is going to come out. And as you know, there is a whole force of people gathering around the world now putting in lots of money, lots of time. These people are going to start investigating the people who are coming after us. We're going to be coming after them. We are now investigating them. And this is something that, is going to turn into, when you say, InfoWars, this is going to turn into a war. But it's two-way traffic now because the people who are being paid to lie and the people who are paying them to lie are going to be exposed.
There you have it. Steven Seagal predicting the exposure of the Illuminati cabal, specifically in Hollywood. And then we have Cat Williams starting off with January 2024 with even more whistleblowing. I mean, is Steven Seagal also a prophet? Is he not only the reincarnated llama, but is he a legitimate prophet?
Do you want to get into Hollywood and the pedophilia rings that you were telling me about over the phone now or later in the broadcast?
All I can tell you is we have recently come into tremendously influential people in the United States who have money and who have power, and some of them are very high up in the government. They are all now putting together a group of people who are investigating. And I'm really wondering why every time anybody talks about the pedophilia rings in Hollywood or Washington or anywhere else in the United States, it gets buried immediately. Alex, you know this as well as I do.
I mean, look at these are haunting words from Seagal here. Anytime somebody exposes these rings, I mean, this is kind of crazy. This is kind of crazy. I mean, Seagal is blowing the whistle here. I mean, this is really crazy. I mean, this is a full year before Epstein. I mean, this is Epstein was arrested July 2019. This is January 2018. So a year and a half prior to Epstein, and Seagal is already spitting the truth here. I mean, listening to this in hindsight, I mean, this is truly crazy. So the people who think that the allegations against him are legitimate by Weinstein's lawyer, who's proven to have been taking money and getting kickbacks from these claims against certain people while defending Weinstein, the number one most guilty guy with the most offenses. She defends him, but she represents these two women making claims against Seagal. This is weird.
Our most precious asset, our most precious things in life are our children. And you know that we would die for a stranger who's a child to protect them against this kind of evil. And why is it that pedophilia in the United States is being protected and overlooked. Our children are the most precious thing we have in this life, and we are going to have to break this sort of secret, protected door that everyone is hiding behind.
The secret protective door everybody is hiding behind. See, again, if we had only heeded the words of Steven Seagal. I mean, this is absolutely incredible. Does it all make sense on the propaganda smear campaign against Seagal? And we're going to dismantle the smear campaign piece by piece by bringing the receipts. But first, let's finish with this.
That's right. And President Trump, behind the scenes, has authorized incredible arrest. We're talking 5 times so far, any previous year, thousands and thousands of pedophiles, not just with child porn, but in many cases with small children as young as 6 months old that were being gang raped. And it literally will hit the newspaper one time. Hundreds of arrests here, dozens of arrests there, hundreds of arrests here every day. And I personally am working with members of the military and some of these operations you're talking about, who just this morning contacted me about huge raids that took place on the East Coast last night, catching them with the children.
Exactly.
Catching them with the children.
Exactly. We are getting involved in this also. I'm not going to say too much right now, but I will say that from the deep web to Hollywood to Washington to all over the United States of America, we have people now that are looking deep. We are now...
If this was anybody other than Seagal, I would say they should really be, looking after their safety. But it appears no one's brave enough to even try to handle Seagal in any capacity. So he really is the #1 guy to be speaking out about this. Because, who in their right mind would try to take him out?
Blessed by being infused with people high up in the government. Not just the United States of America, people who are coming in and helping us in the deep web all over the United States of America with money, with intelligence. We are gathering intelligence to pass to the right people. I'm not going to say too much about this because I'm getting highly involved in this too. And we think we're going to start to pierce that veil of evil and be able to start aiding in the apprehension and conviction of a lot of the scum that's out there.
Yeah, Steven Seagal, who wouldn't, Dub in the chat says here, Steven Seagal, President of the U.S. 2024. That would be interesting. Is Steven Seagal the savior of the human race? Yes, Steven Seagal is President, Trump Vice President 2024. It's kind of hard to say that Seagal isn't the savior of the entire world.
It's truly incredible. And then the president signed the executive order seizing the child trafficker money, and the media basically attacked that and ignored it as well. Gave it almost no attention.
Yep. Which goes to show you this veil of protection that, everybody has. Everybody has in this dark world,
Well, President Trump tweeted that anybody that molests or hurts children needs to be executed. And we, again, have seen total, absolute record bust, not just here, but all over the world. And the group that we're working with, again, we're not going to get into all of it, but it's multinational patriots and intelligence agencies. It's groups from our most elite military forces working with local law enforcement and trying to work with the feds. And Trump is trying to get good people in place at the federal level. And they're finding that they've used the pedophilia to blackmail and take control of Congress. And that's why...
Again, this is pre-Epstein's arrest. These guys are all talking a year and a half before even the most devout coincidence theorists were forced to question their reality with Epstein's arrest.
The deep state is fighting President Trump and many others so hard right now because they know that this corruption is being broken up, just like Putin has tried to do in Russia. I know you're very good friends with him. When we come back from break, I'd like to get into peacemaking and why aren't we working with Russia? They're Christian, they're free market, they're reformed to many extents. Why does the deep state want us to be at war with Russia? We'll be right back with this incredible interview.
Lord Zed, you remember yesterday's epic Seagal stream. Seagal's the only guy not wearing a mask in a whole room full of diplomats. That was hilarious. I mean, who's going to tell him he has to wear one?
With Steven Seagal on the other side, please don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, we're under attack. I just got sued last week by a gentleman from the Communist Party from what happened out in Cleveland. I wasn't even there at the flag burning when there was a scuffle and all the rest of this stuff. And they're just coming after me again for millions of dollars. They're going after the police department out there. And there's more of these lawsuits as well.
Cassidy Smoke in the chat says it isn't just martial arts expertise. It's the holistic approach to a person's life that would make me not want that assignment against him, Bruce. I think they can make an entire documentary just interviewing the countless agents who refused the assignment to take out Seagal. I mean, Seagal might be the #1 on the Illuminati's most wanted list, but who the heck is actually going to attempt to take him out?
Always coming from the very, very same sources. And I just need your support. InfoWarsStore.com. When you buy those products, you get great products and you fund the InfoWar. We've got a lot of big specials that are going to have to end this week on some of our best-selling supplements at InfoWarsStore.com. So whether it's the vitamin B12 Secret 12 or whether it's the X2 or whether it's all the other.
You know, it's funny. A lot of people hate Alex Jones for selling supplements. They don't seem to hate GNC. They don't seem to hate any of these other supplements. They only hate Jones and his supplements. It's kind of a weird thing.
The great products. You make this transmission possible. InfoWarsStore.com. More with Steven Seagal on the other side. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. An exclusive interview. Steven Seagal joins us from Asia via Skype. Again, if you're watching on the internet, please share the live links from Facebook.
Silly Dub in the chat. You think Steven Seagal sleeps? I mean, have you seen any evidence whatsoever that Seagal even needs sleep?
Twitter, YouTube, and more. And if you're listening to a local AM or FM station, please tell folks about the local station and the show and the live broadcast that's taking place right now so that people can actually hear from the other side, because we have the Democratic Party on record going out offering millions of dollars to women. You've got Lisa Bloom, the lawyer, Gloria Allred's daughter, coming out, getting caught in the emails that were secret, offering even one woman, $200,000 to make accusations against the president. She gets 30+% of the money from these TV deals and from what the media pays to these women. I mean, this is incredible. And you notice it's almost always after the statute of limitations, decades later, show that people can't say, well, go put up or shut up. Go to the police. Show your evidence. No, it's always done decades ago. It is a formula. And what a house of cards. Even after this has all come out, even after the top Democratic lawyers and top Democrat pollsters and top lobbyists, not just Lisa Bloom, have been caught, have been recorded by women when they're offering them money. And that's Trump's ace in the hole. Some of these recordings have already come out where there are good women out there who do care about real victims and don't want people yelling, fire in a theater or crying wolf, so that when it really happens, people that have been abused get ignored, because the Democratic Party is basically using this as a weapon. And the reason I raised that point is Stephen, during the break we were talking, and he wanted to come back and make just that point. So I think I kind of just stole his thunder. But in your own words, Stephen, repeat what you were saying to me during the break, please, sir.
Well, I mean, all I was saying is that, we have a situation where obviously there are women who have really been assaulted. And as a police officer for many years, I saw this and was honored and able to help people who are in real distress.
Has anybody ever even seen a video where Seagal had to raise his voice?
No trouble. We want nothing more but to be able to defend those people and help them. The thing that is an evil tragedy that is going on now is, like I said, people paying people to lie for their own political agenda, and because maybe they want to assassinate their enemy and destroy their name and reputation.
And you know what's crazy? After this video, all of a sudden, there are all these celebrities coming out, like comics coming out with all of this anti-Seagal propaganda. This guy hasn't been A-list in how long, and they pick him? But they only pick him after his appearance on Piers Morgan. How curious. How curious. I mean, call me crazy, but is the coincidence stack simply a little too high regarding this timeline? Regarding the timeline, is it just too high?
And family life and marriage and ability to earn money. There are a million reasons. There's a woman called Michelle Milken who stood up and said, listen, when people make claims, they lie. They lie for a multitude of reasons. They lie because they want to annihilate their enemies. They lie for money. They lie because they want to become famous and get in the news. And, you know, she said, I'm not just making this up. I'm the one who's gotten into the FBI files and Leo files and law enforcement files, and I've gone over all the statistics, and I can tell you by my research, my meticulous analytical research, I can tell you that up to 40% of these claims are fake. Well, I personally think in Hollywood right now, it's a lot bigger number. So what I'm saying is, and I've said before, what some of these people don't realize is this is part of a plan to collapse the United States of America, because if the news becomes faker and faker, we won't know. The people will not know what's real and what's really happening. If the people don't know what's really happening, what do we have, Alex?
This interview should have been broadcast in Times Square live on every single channel in every single country in the world, and Seagal would have single-handedly saved the world and brokered world peace through a single Alex Jones interview. I mean, who thinks Seagal would not have changed the course of history if this interview had been broadcast on every single channel in every single country in the world? I mean, what he just said there about brainwashing all the goofs who watch the Idiot Box and can't tell what's real or not. And is that the situation we have here now, post-TikTok, you know, taking the world by storm? I'm going to insert this here right now because the campaign against Seagal started after this interview. It was between Piers Morgan and this interview. All of a sudden, all these random celebrities started talking about Seagal. Why? They didn't talk about it. Nobody said a peep before he went on Piers Morgan, published the anti-Illuminati book, and went on Alex Jones in the now since deleted interview that we are going through right now in this MindShock exclusive. it seems kind of weird. How come nobody was talking about the Seagal Gene LeBell incident before he went on Piers Morgan? Ha! Ha! If that really happened, I mean, the tabloids were ruthless. The martial arts magazines were ruthless in the early 90s. And nobody has mentioned not a single reference to this incident until after the Piers Morgan Alex Jones interview. How strange. How strange. This is really weird. I mean, this is really weird. YouTube's playing some games with the stream again. It's not letting me put up the clips I want to put up here. This is really weird. Huh. Why won't it let me put this up? Ever since I did that stream with NASA and the occult, there seems to have been quite a few glitches and issues. I really want to get this clip up, though. Okay, maybe it's gonna work. Okay, it's working. It's gonna work. Just give me a second. So all these celebrities start going on all these talk shows for the specific purpose of talking trash against Steven Seagal. Why didn't they do it before? I mean, that's what's kind of strange. That's what's kind of strange. Does anybody other than me find this strange? That none of them wanted to talk trash before he blew the whistle on the Illuminati cabal? It's like they were all given orders.
Is it your dream to work with Steven Seagal? Is that on your bucket list?
I know who dyed his hair. Stevie Wonder.
That's all now.
Why is Jimmy Kimmel, this mentally disabled talk show host, why is that a question? So he has Liam Neeson on the show, and his question is that your dream to work with Steven Seagal? What? What? Is that his dream? Why would you random... And then, of course, and Liam Neeson somehow has that joke in his back pocket?
He exclusively works with celebrity Steve, so yeah, it was probably Stevie Wonder.
No, I was particularly annoyed. Some journalist told me on the junket, that was about 3-4 years ago, I was promoting one of the Tekken movies.
Right.
That Steven Seagal, this journalist suddenly said, hey, what do you think of Steven Seagal saying you don't know how to punch? I was like, what?
Yeah, Dub, we're going to get to John Leguizamo. I went over why Leguizamo was pissed. It's because Seagal shoved him into a brick wall. And Leguizamo apparently pretended it's because he caught him off guard, as if there was any state, off guard or not, in which Leguizamo can prevent Steven Seagal from shoving him into a wall or doing whatever Seagal pleased.
Yeah, because you're a boxer.
Well, I boxed as a kid, but yeah. I know how to punch.
Right. Like, did he really say that about
apparently.
you?
I mean, Jimmy Kimmel apparently is trying to pretend like Liam Neeson is this elite boxer. As if Jimmy Kimmel, look at the mental disability level of Jimmy Kimmel. He's trying to explain to Liam Neeson how good of a boxer Liam was. And Liam has to correct him that he only boxed when he was a kid. I mean, this is crazy stuff.
Oh, boy, and is he regretting that right now in that Halloween costume he's wearing in Russia?
Has he really been?
Isn't it kind of weird how these supposed A-listers, they have nothing better to do than talk about Steven Seagal? Like, why are they talking about Steven Seagal here? Is it because Seagal blew the whistle?
To Russia?
Yeah, he moved to Russia. I don't know if he moved there or we sent him there and told him not.
Steven Seagal went on the MMA Hour, and Ariel was talking with him, and Steven Seagal said that never happened, and he's senile and delusional, and this and that all that stuff that happened on set, supposedly, allegedly, didn't happen. What do you think about that?
Well, would you ever admit it? A, and B.
Now, Ronda Rousey also appears to be mentally disabled. Now, I know she's got a lot of haters, but I'm going to defend Ronda Rousey here. I'm going to defend Ronda Rousey because, one, she doesn't appear to know she's mentally disabled. Nobody ever told her. And all these people around her, propped her up, and they kind of brainwashed her into thinking that she was actually good. Like, when she's beating up all these soccer moms and part-time fighters, it's kind of weird.
I mean, obviously the guy's a liar.
Wait, how is that obvious? What did he lie about? We just fact-checked him for 7 hours. I mean, sure, there's a couple claims that are as of yet unsubstantiated, but we've brought receipts.
He told everybody he taught Anderson Silva that kick.
Well, he did. There's literal video of it, and there's Anderson Silva admitting it, and I'm going to put another receipt right here because this is MindShock. I'm going to drown all the Seagal haters in receipts right now. I mean, there's going to be more receipts here than even the most devout coincidence theorist and Seagal hater can shake a stick at. I mean, let's look at what UFC President Dana White said about this. Conversations behind the scenes.
Steven Seagal, I heard his name. He's kind of a hanger-on with you guys. He took credit for teaching Anderson Silva the front kick that he used to knock out Vitor Belfort. Does he actually know what he's talking about, or is he just a groupie?
Actually, from what I hear from Lyoto and from Anderson is he does come in and work, and they do respect and listen to things that he says.
Okay.
Do we need to play that again?
From what I hear from Lyoto and from Anderson is he does come in and work, and they do respect and listen to things that he says.
Okay.
So who thinks Ronda Rousey knows what goes on with Anderson and Machida better than UFC President Dana White? Dana White says they told him he's legit. Now here's the thing. Maybe Anderson Silva did bring in Seagal as a joke. I mean, he quickly found out how much of a joke Seagal was not when Seagal manhandled him like a redheaded stepchild. I mean, he ragdolled Anderson like he was nothing. But here's another one for the Seagal haters. I'm going to bring another receipt right here. Nobody's ready for this one. This receipt is from a couple weeks ago. In 2024, top UFC fighter and former champ Alex Pereira has brought in Seagal not just for a little quick session, like Anderson and Machida didn't have that many clips of Seagal. Alex Pereira, former UFC champ, current top fighter and contender, just uploaded a 40-minute video of Steven Seagal putting on a clinic with these MMA fighters. We're not going to look through the whole 40 minutes. I'll skip through it. These guys uploaded a 40-minute session a few weeks ago in 2024. Why is top contender Alex Pereira? Why is he bringing in Seagal? Why is he bringing in Seagal if Seagal's one big joke? I mean, clearly Machida didn't think he was a joke. It is possible, let's not fall for false dichotomies, it's possible Anderson might have initially brought him in as a joke, but clearly all these other fighters are taking him seriously. I mean, look at this master class Seagal is putting on these MMA fighters. This is a 40-minute video that Alex Pereira uploaded uncut on his channel mere weeks ago. If this is all some big joke from 2012 when Anderson invited Seagal, why is he still being invited into these training sessions? I mean, this was uploaded on Alex Pereira's official YouTube channel mere weeks ago, March 7th, 2024. And Ronda Rousey is saying Seagal is a fraud. Ronda Rousey, one of the biggest frauds in MMA history, is saying Seagal is a fraud. UFC president confirms what Anderson and Machida told him about Seagal, that he's legit. And this was all the way back in 2012. Now, over a decade later, Master Seagal is still being brought in by top UFC fighters and champions. Cassidy Smoke in the chat has it correct because he is a legend of mythical proportions. I mean, and look at Seagal. I mean, Seagal now in 2024 is 71 years old. This 71-year-old man is coming in here to just educate these MMA fighters. I mean, it would be interesting to see if any of them truly tested him and try to hit him for real. I mean, it'd be their funeral, but still, it'd be interesting to see. He's 71 years old in this video right here. Here he is training top UFC fighter, Alex Pereira. Meanwhile, Ronda Rousey's claim to fame is beating up soccer moms and part-time fighters until she got knocked out when she faced full-time fighters and then ran away from the sport. I mean, look at Master Seagal here imparting the knowledge. He's 71 years old now. Oh, you blasphemer, Justin Johnson. I mean, I don't know how he would do with UFC rules, but I mean, he would wreck these fools without rules. I mean, these goofs, they can't even handle a shot from a 71-year-old. And he's not even trying here. He hit him lightly and they can't handle it.
I don't kick like this, I kick like this. You see the difference? You feel the difference? This is no good, this is perfect. Não tanto, entendeu?
Vem mais de baixo um pouquinho, vem direto.
Ai!
Só que agora, mais...
How dare you, Justin Johnson? Nobody is invincible other than Seagal. Perhaps that's true.
Esticada a perna, na distância.
A facada, né?
Aí, ó.
The reason why Anderson Silva and Lyoto did knock them out is because they did what I told them. They don't lift the knee, they're not going like this. So you already bring it straight from the back here. A razão que o Anderson conseguiu.
I mean, Seagal's that good of a teacher. He can even get other fat guys to kick. Yeah, he broke Sean Connery's wrist permanently.
You see me, I'm actually going behind. You see how I go behind? Similar to what he does, because he hides and I tilt my knee. Yes. Similar to what he does.
I mean, look at this 71-year-old Seagal just easily manhandling all these UFC fighters, these champs. I mean, look at his power and speed even at 71 years of age. I mean, is anybody doubting that a prime Seagal would have just absolutely wrecked everybody? I mean, look how easily the 71-year-old is just crumbling these MMA fighters in their prime. And he's not even trying. I mean, I don't think people understand. It appears Seagal is not even trying. when he is handling these MMA fighters with ease.
So he's here, his hands are up. All you have to do is get any of these.
I mean, these champs are absolutely helpless in the paws of Steven Seagal.
I love it. Ele falou, e eu pego toda vez. E é totalmente legal isso daí. Eles aqui, Jitsu.
I think this is even.
Yes, 100%. 100%. Ele vai fazer depois.
Okay, let's try the fingers. He's here, he's here, he's here, he's here. Look.
I mean, Seagal's not even trying, and he's crumbling these people. 10%. He's probably exerting 0.1% here. 0.1%. I Am Iron's Cat says here, I doubted on Super Bowl night, but not now. I think he in his prime would destroy anyone he faced. I think he destroys anybody now at 71 years of age. I mean, he's not even trying, and he's crumbling these guys.
Every time I will get it. Every time. Já começa a misturar os estilos, tá vendo?
Eu vou aqui, pá, eu escolho a mão aqui.
No, you see.
I mean, look at the level of respect these professional fighters and champions are giving Seagal. Because they know what would happen if they didn't. It's just that simple. It's really that simple here.
Stand strong.
Você tem que ir pra trás, tá vendo?
E depois com o joelho,
I mean, have you seen anybody other than Seagal absolutely manhandle these guys and get away with it?
Estica, velho.
Tá, então ele puxou.
It's crazy that just such low amount of energy.
That's it. That's all.
Isso.
And Alex Pereira is like a multiple-time kickboxing champion, and look at how he obeys the commands of Steven Seagal with bated breath.
Isso. Só que ela tá sendo um pouquinho dobrado demais.
Lord Zed with a very astute comment in the chat here. It's all in the mind. He'd expletive us up. We're not there yet, boys.
Isso. Essa daí. Mano, se você não bater um cara com sair, mano.
No, not this.
Não, assim. Imagina uma
Technique I told you.
Agora essa técnica aí que você é boa.
Work on this. Because from here, you have all this and all this. And even you have this, you know?
This guy.
Here, and you get here. Look what I have. Look. How do you say look?
Olha.
Olha.
Oh, wow. Seagal doesn't speak Portuguese. I am shocked. I am shocked that Seagal, he's only fluent in 4 or 5 languages. I'm kind of surprised here. Or was he just pretending to be humble?
Look, he's fucked. I have everything. This is what you want.
Isso é o que você quer.
You know all this. Don't forget that.
Quando você tá na lateral, olha o tanto que você tem aberto.
Don't fight people straight.
Não luta a gente de frente, quando o pessoal de frente.
Come to the side.
Vai pro ângulo, tá vendo? Na lateral, porque você tem toda.
Good. Good. Good.
I mean, Master Seagal has to reteach these UFC fighters how to do basic punches and kicks. They're just not on his level. He has to take them back to the basics.
Here. And if I hit you with this,
Mas se acertar você com isso,
you won't get up.
Can you imagine a 71-year-old telling a UFC champion, if I hit you with this, you won't get up? And look at his face. Look at the fear in his eyes. He knows it's true.
se ele acertar só assim, bater, você não levanta.
You can go back or forth.
Você pode ir pra frente ou pra trás. Você pode.
Very dangerous.
Sempre com essa parte, né?
Look like Kali.
Yeah, but this is coming from sword.
É, esse é disparo.
But this is really powerful.
Esse é muito forte.
This one. So we'll work on this next time.
Ok, a próxima vez a gente vai com ele, a gente vai trabalhar o punho.
Marreta. Marreta.
Hammer. Magic hammer.
Deadly.
Absolutely deadly here. I mean, look how grateful these guys are. I mean, Steven Seagal's just imparting the deadly knowledge here.
Cara, eu faço alguma. Faz parte. Compartilha aí, né?
I mean, these are the receipts, people. These are the receipts. This is in 2024. And now back in 2012, like, listen to Rhonda run her clueless mouth here.
I mean, seriously, the guy doesn't have a very good track record.
Is there anybody who has a better track record?
And I'm so mad that he would say anything like that to Gene.
Yeah.
She's so mad. Clearly, logic is not known to Rhonda, only emotions, which is why she got wrecked whenever she faced full-time fighters.
I don't want to give anyone another
that would
quote.
get you
I'm
heated.
gonna give you another quote. I would beat the crap out of Steven Seagal, but I bet I could.
So Ronda Rousey thinks she could beat the crap out of Steven Seagal. Now, she also thought she could beat Mayweather. Then again, she thought she could beat Holly Holm, but that didn't work out, did it, Ronda? Perhaps her thinking skills are just not on even a basic level. I mean, let's examine her shadow box game here. Let's see what Ronda's shadow boxing looks like here. I mean, could she really beat Seagal? I mean, some people think yes. Some people think yes. I mean, look at the mastery of shadow boxing that Ronda Rousey employs her. I mean, look at the way she holds her hand in a fist. I mean, look at that action there. I mean, does anybody stand a chance? I mean, is there anybody she wouldn't wreck with those kinds of hands? I mean, do you really want those hands?
Hell yeah. You know what? If he says anything bad about Gene to my face, I would be forced to do something. Of course I would.
Should be forced to do something? What's that? Get knocked out? Get her wrist broken?
I had to make him crap his pants a second time.
Actually, you know what? Let's bring some more receipts regarding Rhonda. I know this isn't about Rhonda, but when she blasphemes Master Sensei Seagal, let's look at a clip here. Of Ronda Rousey training with a high school kid. So this is an Olympic judoka. Let's see if she can handle some teenage kid in high school. Let's see what happens. I mean, she said she could beat Mayweather, Seagal, but let's see if she can beat a random high school kid. I mean, let's see what happens. I mean, we're bringing so many receipts here. You're all going to get drowned in receipts. So this is Ronda Rousey against a high school kid. She's in the red there. So I think this is right off her Olympic win, actually. So this is an Olympic judoka against some teen. I mean, she can't even prevent getting taken down by some. This is an Olympic judoka. I mean, she can't do anything. I mean, that wasn't that bad. She actually got it back, but then... Oh, look at that. He wasn't even trying the other times. It looks like he tried a little bit there. I mean, this is an Olympic judoka, this high school kid. Just easily handled. I mean, it looks like he's probably afraid to hurt her, so he's not going too hard. If Ronda Rousey can't even handle a high school kid who's not even trying when she's in the best shape of her life, she thinks she could handle Seagal? I mean, it is kind of funny.
You think his, like, any of his talk in MMA, any of his, is real? Do you think he's a legit force?
No. It's Aikido. I mean, Aikido's cool. But I mean, like, who in MMA does Aikido? Who has an Aikido background? So-and-so coming in the cage is...
Machida actually did Aikido. You know, former UFC champ. One of the best records in MMA. Let's bring the receipts on Machida. I actually had a clip of this. Oh, here we go. Let's watch Lyoto Machida use Aikido in the not just MMA, but in the UFC. For all the goofs who doubt Aikido, and keep in mind, this was traditional Aikido. Seagal is actually, I mean, it was kind of described as combat Aikido. Seagal's Aikido is the most lethal. So this is Lyoto Machida using Aikido in MMA. UFC champion Lyoto Machida. This is why Machida brought in Seagal as well. Because he knows Aikido's legit. He does Aikido. He's used Aikido in actual MMA fights. For the people that think Seagal's Aikido wouldn't work, I mean, just look at the redirection here. And Machida is nowhere near as good as Seagal in Aikido. Let's get his ranking in Aikido. He is... He might not even be ranked. Yeah, I don't think he actually... It appears he trained in Aikido, but he might not have actually achieved a belt status. And Seagal's the highest ranking non-Japanese and one of the highest ranks you can even get. Yeah, Machida's the guy in the black shorts.
Talk in MMA, any of his is real? Do you think he's a legit force?
No. It's Aikido. I mean, Aikido's cool. But I mean, like, who in MMA does Aikido?
I mean, this is the intellectual prowess of Ronda Rousey.
Who has an Aikido background?
Machida.
So-and-so coming in the cage is a world champion with a background in Aikido. You never heard that once. Have you ever heard that once? It's for a reason. It's because Gene LeBell would destroy Steven Seagal again.
Again? Gene LeBell never even fought Seagal, and we'll get into their altercation after we get done with Seagal and Alex Jones.
Even
I am Iron's cat, yes. We'll get to that.
Old as they are now, if they had like super master division, Gene would still throw it down, man. I'd still put my money on him to this day.
Well, then she'd lose a lot of money. Okay. So, now that we've established that Rhonda is an absolute farce and fraud, let's get to these other celebs.
And the first day we get together for rehearsal with the actors and the director, he comes in, I'm in command. What I say is law. You disagree? And I started cracking. I was like,
Did that even happen, though? Who believes that even happens? And why are they randomly talking about Seagal again? I mean, when was the last time this guy even had a theatrical release?
I thought he was kidding. We were just hanging out.
Yeah.
And he Aikito'd me against the brick wall. Pow! Knocked all the air out of me. I was like, why?
Well, maybe he was being annoying. Or, wait, is Leguizamo on the Epstein list? Maybe that was why. Let's find out. He is not on the list. Interesting, or at least not on one of the lists.
Yeah. I mean, what I really want to say is how big and fat he is and how he runs like a bitch. Look at it online. You can see he runs like this. I'm not kidding.
And again, how come none of these guys were doing these bits before Seagal blew the whistle? Isn't it strange that all of a sudden Seagal becomes a topic of conversation on random talk shows? That's kind of weird. That's kind of weird.
Like he's a double-dutching little bitch, but...
And you all know Leguizamo's way too much of a coward to ever say that to Seagal's face.
But he hits like he is like an Aikido master. He is 6'5". I'm scared of leaving the studio now.
Well, at least he's honest about that.
I'm gonna sleep here tonight.
He runs like a...
I'm not going anywhere.
He runs like a little girl, but he hit like a big song.
I mean, look at that efficiency in his run, though. I mean, if he wanted to, Seagal probably would have taken the track world by storm as well.
Lake up in Toronto, and the director said, well, let's practice. Let's rehearse this scene one time. It's kind of complicated. We're sitting around, it's DMX or whatever. And Steve Seagal's like, I don't rehearse, man. He goes, no, seriously, just for camera, will you let us rehearse? No, let's just shoot it. Let's shoot this. Oh, he goes, okay. So anyways, he starts, and Steve Seagal's like, well, I will tell you one thing. And he starts to get up. He goes, I'm going to kick all your asses. And he starts walking out towards what he thinks is a door, but it's not the right door. It's the door that goes into the ocean, okay? I swear. And I'm going to say...
Wait, there's a door that goes into the ocean? Is anybody believing these stories?
Oh my gosh, you're going to the wrong door. But then I know what's happening, so I'm like, holy shit, this is awesome. And he takes a step and he drops into the ocean, just out of frame. And you know, at the time he'd colored in his hair, he had about that much black, like magic marker kind of thing. He's a great guy, by the way. And he wouldn't wear a hairpiece, so he just painted in. And if you watch the movie up close, you could go, oh my God, there's like an inch of black stuff. And he's like kind of fat for a muscle guy. Yeah. He's got very big wrists, so. And he's, you know, and he, so I looked down and I was like, holy buddy. And so he comes up, he's sort of embarrassed, and because, you know, and the black stuff is ready up. But, you know, that was fun, that was great.
That's
that was
amazing.
a great moment.
That's
but
amazing.
I remember going, I should tell him. And I look at the director and he's like, And then he walks, and then
Last question. Last.
A colleague of mine is having some issues with his girlfriend. Pricey came up with a fight between Steven Seagal and Boss Rutan.
Yeah, without a doubt, that's the short answer. Boss Rutan all the way. So I'm sorry, girlfriend, you're wrong.
Wow. I mean, I'm a big Boss Rutan fan, but clearly Boss Rutan's a little biased here. I mean, he would get absolutely wrecked by Seagal.
Slap him, pop, 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 pop in the face, grab his ponytail, maybe a headbutt here and there, and then fold him up. No doubt.
But he was meeting Steven Seagal for the rewrite, for the writing, potentially, for Under Siege 2.
Right.
And that was the one that broke him when it made $57 million, when that was $57 million in the early 90s. And so he goes into one of those trailers, to meet with Steven Seagal, and he's on the set, and it's one of those big triple bangers where you go into this trailer and it's like you can get lost in there. It's a maze of pop-outs, It's like, which pop-out is Steven Seagal? And he's in the third bedroom to the left and the end of the hall.
Big star.
And he's waiting in there for 45 minutes. He's making him wait, sitting there by himself. Finally, Steven Seagal emerges from one of the other ante-rooms in the mobile home. And he comes out and he said, "I just read the greatest script I've ever read in my life." He goes, "Really? Who wrote it?" "I did."
I mean, that kind of checks out, though, doesn't it? Doesn't that check out?
But I will say there's a newer one, and I think it's even superior. It's this has happened. I just heard that because I collect those stories like jewels. Anytime there's a Steven Seagal story, I love the Jamie Presley one. Where "I'm an expert in shiatsu massage. Please let me massage you." You told me that one. And next thing you know, she's having her boobs grabbed on by him.
I'm an expert in
Isn't it kind of weird? If that story is true, why are they all laughing at it? Because that's kind of messed up. If it was unwelcome, though. I mean, I don't know. Obviously, we don't know the details, but why are they? If it really was if it was an unwanted advance, why are they all laughing hysterically?
An expert. Let me give you those titties, baby. So anyway, he's doing a movie.
Is there anybody more scummy than Howard Stern?
He's doing a movie with Keenan Ivory Wayans.
Right.
And I did one, and that's where I heard Keenan tell me this story. I hope he doesn't mind me telling this story. But Steven Seagal had just met with the Dalai Lama. And apparently, if you give enough money to the Dalai Lama's charities, eventually you get something out of it.
Right.
And so the Dalai Lama made him a deity.
Wow.
A god. Some Tibetan Buddhist,
That must have really appealed to his ego.
Oh, yeah, no, it must have. No, so anyway, he comes to the set after he makes you the Dalai Lama, and now he's a god. He comes to the set, now he was Steven Seagal, now Steven Seagal. Now he's Steven Seagal, the god, the deity from the Dalai Lama. And he comes to the set, and he's there, and Keenan says, "So what? I just met with the Dalai Lama, and he, in his wisdom, decided to make me a deity." And he gives him the karang the ding da dong whatever.
The other thing is, like, a lot of these stories, there's no verification of them. It almost seems like someone made it up and then they retold it like 4 times.
And I feel a difference. I feel like an enlightened.
Because Schneider wasn't on that set. He didn't work with Seagal on the Keenan Ivory Wayans Glimmerman movie.
The sense that I can do something now, and everything just seems.
Well, actually, that doesn't even check out, because the Glimmerman... Wait a second. This story doesn't check out at all. This story is bunk. The Glimmerman was released in 96. So it was filmed between 95 and 96. Seagal was elevated to whatever you want to call it in 97. You can go on sfgate.com, June 20th, 1997. Movie star declared a Lama. Seagal elevated to sacred status in Tibetan Buddhism. So how is this Rob Schneider story about the movie? So he said the Keenan Ivory Wayans movie that Seagal did. This movie was released in 96, so it was filmed between 95 and 96. June 20th, 97, Seagal is elevated to this status. So again, once we start doing the fact checking, once we start going into the receipts, we kind of see what's going on here, don't we? We see what's going on.
Seems to come into place for me spiritually and in my career, and I feel like it's certain things now that never made sense to me make sense to me on a universal level. And his assistant comes up to him and says, "Hey, Steven, your ex-wife called. She can't bring the kids over this weekend. You tell that fucking cunt. If she doesn't get those kids over here, I'll break her fucking neck."
Does anybody believe that? Is there a single video in existence of Seagal so much as raising his voice?
In terms of your life in America, you've been very much caught up in all the allegations of sexual harassment. You had a rape allegation against you, and I wonder how you deal with all that. Hello, Steven Seagal.
People love to make up shit. I was reading up all the shit that Steven Seagal's made up all through his career, because there's a whole thing going on right now where Steven Seagal told everybody that Anderson Silva, he taught Anderson that kick, right? Which is kind of what he's supposed to do, right? I mean, there's videos of him training with Anderson. Well, fuck it, Anderson barely even speaks English. Yeah. Just run around and tell everybody that you taught him it, and you know what? Anderson's so cool, he'll probably be like, yeah, he taught me, he's a good guy.
I always thought that was just him playing a goof.
But Anderson played a goof. Anderson might be playing a goof. Didn't he do a little Wing Chun in the Well, he always does that. He'll do a little, like, moving the hands funny, and he's just letting you know he's ready to fucking explode in your face.
Ready to kick you in the chin.
Yeah, that was a ridiculous fight.
That was ridiculous.
Is he really saying that? Is he really saying that he's the one that taught him?
Yeah, Steven Seagal's really saying that. Boss Rutan went fucking crazy. And Boss Rutan, I'm going to go do an advertisement for his gym, so I'm going to try to get him on the podcast too, because Boss Rutan will have some fucking amazing stories of brawls in Holland. He's just a savage. I love Boss Rutan. But Boss went crazy on Twitter, and he's like, you know, what?
Yeah, of course. I mean, Joe Rogan's an absolute goof. If you haven't checked out Eddie Bravo decimate him on the nuclear weapon and flat Earth topics, check that out on my channel.
What planet is he from? Did he learn this from fucking Disneyland? He's like, Boss Rutan's go crazy on Twitter. He's angry at Steven Seagal.
I heard an unverified story about
And we'll get into Gene LeBell, because a lot of people think LeBell's an absolute fraud. This pro wrestling guy who claimed to have all these judo credentials, and then when you actually look at the recognized judo bodies, the official judo bodies, not a single one recognizes LeBell. And this is the fraud. So it would kind of make sense that if LeBell's a fraud, he would team up with Rhonda the fraud, and the two frauds would obviously be jealous of possibly the most legit human in existence, Steven Seagal.
When Gene LeBell and Steven Seagal had a
that's a true story. That's an absolute true story.
And you hear how Rogan is saying that's an absolute true story. How would he know? Was he on the set? We'll be going straight to the people who are actually on the set during that interaction, and we'll be getting into what they think.
Gene LeBell told me that story.
Yeah. Gene tells you it like this. He doesn't actually tell you the whole story.
What's the story?
Well, you know, Steven was trying to say that no one could choke him out. You can't choke him out. He had this move. This move will stop you from choking out. So, you know, I was like, all right, Steven, let's try it. And I get him in a headlock there. I get him in the rear naked. And he takes this hand, the free hand, and then you just karate chops me right in, you know, the old sisters.
And there's like, you know, the way Gene LeBell talks, he wouldn't even say his balls. He's like the nicest guy ever. He would say something like, right in the old Johnson, you know? And then,
and then I guess he got tired after doing that and he just fell asleep. And I guess maybe he forgot to go to the bathroom. So he went to the bathroom then.
And this is how mentally disabled Rogan is. He just took, like, if he had Seagal on his podcast, obviously Seagal's got too much class to do Joe Rogan, but if he asked Seagal what happened, Seagal told story A and LeBell's told story B, wouldn't you want to get the story from all the stuntmen with no alliances to either LeBell or Seagal to tell you what happened? Because they were actually there. Joe Rogan wasn't there.
Hilarious. Holy shit.
And if you know Gene LeBell is like, first of all, he was like one of the original mixed martial artists. He's a judo guy that had cage fights.
Is he really a judo guy?
wasn't a cage. It was basically a mixed rules fight where he fought a boxer. He had fought a boxer with his judo gi on and just took the boxer down and beat his ass. Gene was he's like the guy that taught Bruce Lee about grappling. Bruce.
And now talk about tall tales. He taught Bruce Lee about grappling? Oh man, that's a topic for another podcast, but there's just so much BS being talked about Bruce Lee. I mean, LeBell just looks like a fraud. He talks like a fraud, and we'll be looking for LeBell's receipts. Does he actually have any evidence of his so-called judo credentials?
Bruce Lee, back in the day, thought you could just karate kick everybody in the head, and that was the shit, Right.
Actually, Bruce Lee never said that. He didn't even believe in kicking higher than the waist. I mean, Rogan is just so utterly clueless about just about every topic he handles.
Bruce Lee actually worked on a lot of more effective things like leg kicks and short range techniques, Wing Chun and boxing punches and stuff like that. But he really wasn't aware about grappling until
he actually was. Again, read some stuff about Bruce Lee, Mr. Joe Rogan.
Hooked up with Gene LeBell. And Gene LeBell's a fucking gorilla. He's just, national champion judo player.
Is he really?
And he's just so fucking ridiculously strong that I'm sure he grabbed that little 135-pound Chinese man and had him fucking shit in his pants going, okay, now.
Sure he did. Sure he did.
We learn grapple.
We see a lot of patterns here. The hate that Bruce Lee and Seagal get. People prop up all these just absolute frauds while attacking people like Bruce Lee and Seagal. It's very evident what's going on here.
You had to learn grappling after you fucked around with Gene LeBell.
I wanted to ask you, there's been this sort of story that's been passed around, and I like to get to the bottom.
All right, we'll actually get to that later. So, I just wanted to play those clips for all the goofs who don't realize that the anti-Seagal propaganda didn't really get off the ground until Seagal's anti-Obama comments in 2014, and then his Piers Morgan appearance, and then this InfoWars appearance.
You just hit something.
Don't know the truth.
You just hit something that's profound. You're absolutely right. They're putting out all this fake news just to confuse everything. Mainstream media is already discredited, so now all they can do is just try to be such liars and accuse everybody else of being liars that no one is
And that's exactly what they did to Seagal.
Honorable anymore, or no one knows who's honorable. And so as the pedophilia comes out, and as the gay mafia in Hollywood that abuses and rapes so many men, from what I've heard in Hollywood from gay men is that the gay mafia rapes men, abuses men. It's 2-to-1, 3-to-1, men being abused.
Wow. I mean, are they talking about P. Diddy here?
Not women, but that men won't go forward because they know people won't believe them, and people tell men just suck it up, and that it's mainly the gay mafia pushing this whole thing in Hollywood. And again, I'm not bashing gay people. There have been high-level people in Hollywood that say there is a gay mafia. Chappelle's talked about it. So many other people have talked about it, and that there.
Is anybody surprised that this interview was scrubbed from the internet?
Using this to basically smokescreen the abuse of men by men. Do you have any intel on that from all of your Hollywood sources?
Well, the intel is coming in from now, and we're getting a lot of it. But speaking of lies, I just wanted to say something else that we've talked about, and that is Adolf Hitler said something very, very interesting. And Adolf Hitler had a publicist that said something very, very interesting. And this publicist was, as you know, paid to fabricate and lie about a multitude of situations, including activity of Adolf Hitler. And one of the things his publicist repeatedly said was, if you tell a lie enough times, it becomes the truth. And the big
And is that what they tried to do with Gene LeBell choking out Seagal? Because how often has that story been repeated?
The bigger the lie, the easier it is for people to believe it.
Absolutely. It's incredible. And again, they're using the whole Me Too movement to destroy relationships. People are even afraid to ask a woman out. It's admittedly killing normal human interaction. And we know Hollywood wants to destroy the family. We know they want to depopulate things. And I mean, that's really what this is an overall depopulation agenda.
Yeah, it's sort of part of it, you know. So, I mean, I think we need to start a movement. We've already started the movement. A lot of it is secret right now. We're secretly investigating everybody. We've got intelligence coming in on all these things. But our motto should be, and I hate all this hashtag this and that, it should be tell the truth. Tell the truth.
You know, I don't want to just sit here and say that high-level intelligence is battling the pedophile rings and just say it. Everybody knows we have incredible sources. So do you. I wonder if we should even tell people how you ended up getting on the show. I mean, I'm not going to, obviously, it's high-level U.S. intelligence said Seagal's been trying to get a hold of you for months, and I've been trying to get a hold of him for years.
And how is high-level intelligence even in contact with Seagal in the first place if Seagal has no ties to the intelligence community? I mean, it's kind of weird. We went over in episode 1, we went over 6.5 hours of people who have ties to intelligence who had ties to Seagal. Common acquaintances, they were called. How is that possible if Seagal never had any intelligence community connections in the first place?
And just so you understand, this meeting was set up by high-level folks in the government. And I'm not saying that to brag. It's so people know there are patriots. And I don't want to go too far with this, Stephen, but you want to just confirm that for folks?
Oh, yeah, I'll confirm it. At the highest level, people have come to me and said, you know, we think that, you know, there's a bunch of what I call the alphabet agencies, and some people have, you know, made innuendos of my relationships with some of them. And I still have very good friends at the highest level in those agencies, and some of them have come forward to me and said, you know what, you two guys have to meet, and, you know, he wants you on the show.
So is there anybody out there disputing Seagal's words here? He says Seagal says right here, from his mouth, he knows people at the highest level in some of these agencies. Is he lying? I don't know. But every step of the way that we've been fact-checking, we couldn't find any actual refutations of anything. All we can find are receipts corroborating a lot of what he has said.
We'd love to be on the show, and here we are.
And again, we're not saying that to brag. I want to explain this to everybody very slowly and very clearly. In the last 3 weeks, twice, Colbert, one of the #1 shows on television where they put their propaganda out as comedy, attacks yours truly, and then next, Steven Seagal. And they do it on a bunch of other shows, too, that I can't even keep track of.
You know what's weird, though? See, Alex Jones is kind of popular, though. So it would make sense they would attack him. But why would they randomly, out of the blue, start attacking Seagal? And why wouldn't they have been attacking Seagal? If he's such an easy target, why weren't they attacking him before he blew the whistle? I mean, just a weird question there.
Because I've been told, and some of it's been leaked, that they have a hit list. And, of course, when we come back...
I've been told the same thing. I've been told the same thing by undeniable sources. And, you know, what's amazing to me is these people that are out there attacking us, I wonder how many times they've done anything for the United States of America. Did they ever risk their life? Did they ever rescue anybody? Did they ever do anything that was at all uncomfortable for them for the United States of America?
Damn! That's a mic drop moment for Steven Seagal. Good point there. All of the bootlicking, authority-worshipping, cultist, coincidence theorists, and Seagal haters. Wow, he called all of you out there.
Absolutely. We're going to go to break and come back and get into Putin, get into why they fear Steven Seagal so much, and why they've looked at their actuaries and numbers and decided we got to destroy Trump, We got to destroy Seagal. We got to destroy Jones. We've got to destroy people like Matt Drudge. They got to destroy people like Rand Paul, who's been physically attacked. And we're going to talk about that all on the other side of this incredible interview with Steven Seagal, uncensored, unfiltered. What an individual. No wonder they fear this guy. We'll be right back. Jimmy Kimmel.
Is there anyone that doesn't fear Seagal? I mean, I don't know.
Colbert. These programs masquerade as comedy, but they're really fake news. And they both admit that they get marching orders from Chuck E. Schumer and the Democratic Party. And then what do? In order, they sit there and they attack myself, they attack my family, they attack who I am. They've had Tom Brokaw say that I'm a deeply racist person, but then not show a clip when everybody knows that I protested the KKK and I support Martin Luther King Day and think he was a great man. Why are they doing this? I'm not trying to make it about myself and Steven Seagal, but the point is, you know what they fear by what they attack. And that's why we're under siege, ladies and gentlemen. And, you know, Mr. Seagal was mentioning the fact that for many, many years, more than a decade, he was, you know, a sheriff's deputy, you name it. That's one of the most dangerous jobs, like a volunteer firefighter. In most of these small counties, that's all there is volunteer firefighters. I've got family that's been seriously burned and gotten smoke inhalation being a volunteer firefighter. And then people like Colbert make fun of Mr. Seagal, saying he's served this country and served this flag. Well, if you don't think firefighters and police officers serve this country just as much as our military does in many cases, you're full of crap. And again, that's why they attack people like Seagal, because they know he actually cares about the country. When people like Colbert making his little joke last week, and 2 weeks ago and a month ago, always the same joke, when he dresses up like Steven Seagal, saying Steven Seagal says he served America, though he never did it. Well, you know what? He's serving America today, defending this republic from globalists trying to take it down and standing with our president. And all of you that stand for this republic are serving this country in its darkest hours when the country's starting to come out of its coma. Now, I'm going to stop ranting because I want us to get time with Steven Seagal.
You know what's crazy? Looking back at all these old Alex Jones videos, I mean, he was warning about this dissent, and nobody really took it that seriously. And look where we are now in 2024.
Stephen, I want to get into why they fear you, why they're demonizing you, why they're attacking you. You know, even though you've not even been that public of a person, they're coming after you. Let's get into why they fear you. I know you don't want to talk about yourself, but we talked for hours this weekend. I mean, you were nailing it. You were, I mean, just so you've got the floor.
You have a situation where you look at geopolitical global crisis. We are in a crisis right now. The world is in a crisis. We have to look at the geopolitical balance of power. I have always felt that Russia and America should be brothers. I have also always felt that Russia wants to be our brother. I have also always felt that there has been billions and billions of dollars put into demonizing Russia and amazing propaganda demonizing President Putin.
Again, keep in mind, this is all pre-Ukraine invasion. This is 2018, my friends. This deleted video, scrubbed from the internet, brought back only by the MINDSHOCK custom AI.
And I think that it's an outrage, and it's not just an outrage, it's really bad for our future in the sense that if Russia and America become brothers, we have a real chance to have a greater peace in the world and a more chance of global survival.
I mean, look at this man preaching world peace. I mean, is this the real reason they wanna? They started these smear campaigns.
I'm always outraged when I see the kinds of things like when they say, "Oh, you know, I don't remember if there's a 27 or 37 or 57 intelligence, agencies in America all said that Russia and Putin hacked the election. Well, certainly we don't have that many. And as you know, that's been debunked. They never found any proof that I know of. And yet, the public sort of believes that narrative because, as you know, those people pretty much control the press at this point.
You know what's weird, too? Like, when all the gullible goof idiot box watchers were told, oh, Russia interfered with the election, and maybe they did. I don't claim anything is true or untrue. But all the brain-dead goofs said, oh, yeah, they did. And then in 2020, when the idiot box told them, no, there's actually no evidence of election interference. Oh, okay. Then there wasn't. I mean, all the brain-dead goofs are just hilarious.
And so, what kind of a great sin have I committed by wanting Russia and America to be brothers? I don't want this for myself. I want this for the world.
Expanding on that, Russia helped us take out ISIS. Russia, right after 9/11, gave us the most aid of any country, sent in helicopters, you name it, to help us in Afghanistan. And again, Russia has kicked the globalist out of its country. That's why they hate it. We have the same globalist running our country right now, and that's why they hate sovereign nation states. And geopolitically, it would make perfect sense. I mean, we privately talked about the real threat here this weekend geopolitically and why the globalists have sided with another power and why they want to basically play the U.S. and Russia off against each other. Can we speak about China?
Well, I mean, I'll leave that to you because you've already come out and said it. But the fact of the matter is that at this point, we have a situation where people are trying, when I say people, you know who I mean, they're spending billions of dollars to make sure that America and Russia do not become allies.
Again, this is January 2018. January 15th, 2018, Seagal is dropping these truth bombs, since scrubbed from the internet.
They fear that because they know that if Russia and America become allies, they will not be able to make America a communist one-world order.
That's right. And if you look at 1917, the very same globalists funded the takeover and the overthrow of the czars. And Russia has come out of 80-plus years of being under globalist rule. And that's why the globalists are so angry. They've lost Russia. Now they're losing America. Now the Brexit's happening. I mean, can you speak to the global phenomenon of populism we're seeing?
Well, I mean, right now, as I said, we are in a very, very precarious situation.
I mean, did people really just not understand the geopolitical mastery of Steven Seagal? I mean, is there anything this guy doesn't know?
After we annihilated Libya, we annihilated the buffer zones that we had because Gaddafi controlled the tribes. And once those tribes, once Gaddafi was gone, those tribes kind of created ISIS, and all of a sudden, we have the situation where you have all of these quote unquote refugees coming into Europe. Europe is I don't want to say almost gone, but they're in a tremendously difficult situation.
Again, Seagal dropping the truth bombs about the situation in Europe back in 2018, the beginning of 2018. I mean, this man is nothing short of a prophet.
Germany, I don't think will ever be the same, and I think within 4 or 5 years it will be, it won't be the Germany that anybody knew. So Europe is now, kind of on a slippery slope that I don't see how they'll ever be able to climb back up. And, the Middle East is a complete mess. And now we have a situation where every time our president, who was democratically elected, tries to make any kind of a move anywhere, there are people who are in agencies who are spending every bit of time and effort and money they can to thwart anything he wants to do. So it's really crippling our ability to be able to get out there and get involved in the balance of power.
Well, exactly. And you have Chucky Schumer saying the intelligence agencies have 7 ways to Sunday to get back at the president. You've got Phil Mudd, the former deputy director of the CIA, saying we're going to kill the president on CNN. This wouldn't be put up with anywhere. You've got the deep state admittedly illegally spying on the president, then lying about it. You've got this whole Russiagate thing with these Democrat FBI agents at the top, all caught trying to frame the president in their emails.
Yeah, this is weird. This is weird. I mean, did people not know about Seagal's geopolitical mastery? Oh, you didn't know? I mean, is there anything that Steven Seagal doesn't know? And again, another interesting point. How does he know all these things if he doesn't have all these high-level connections?
I mean, they are so arrogant. They are so wild. They are so brazen.
No, I mean, this is, in my opinion, the worst America has been in the history of America in terms of turmoil.
You're absolutely right. We're going to go to break and start the next hour. And then I probably got 20 pages of notes that I wrote while we were talking this weekend. But I want to just go into different angles on this, how we defeat the deep state. I think we just let folks know there is a civil war politically going on, not just here, but all over the world, as the globalists try to maintain control over nation states. And anybody they think could be a leader for peace against their operations, and anybody that stands against radical Islam is being targeted because the globalists are allied with it. Steven Seagal joins us on Martin Luther King Day. And I know that when we talked this weekend, he really wanted to talk a lot about Martin Luther King as well and how much he admired Martin Luther King. So we're going to talk some about that and the ideas of Martin Luther King straight ahead in the next hour. I'm Alex Jones, Infowars.com, Newswars.com. Steven Seagal joining us from Asia on the other side. Stay with us. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, on this Monday edition. Steven Seagal just spent the whole last hour with us. He is, of course, back with us, going as long as he'd like to. And I was just thinking during the break about the whole Me Too movement. Whenever I told the story about being out in Hollywood on multiple occasions and having male producers grab my genitals as some bizarre rite of passage, and I'd tell them, watch out before I knock you upside the head.
I wonder if anybody tried that with Seagal. I mean, they obviously wouldn't have the speed to even get anywhere near him. But if they did, I mean, it'd be interesting to see Seagal's response to that.
The leftist media made jokes about it. Just like you've got Oprah Winfrey, according to women, bringing women to Harvey Weinstein, telling them that it was safe. They felt like she was basically, trying to pimp them out. You have Oprah in photos sticking her tongue in his ear, all over him, and then defending him. You've got Meryl Streep defending Roman Polanski, raping a 13-year-old girl anally. I hate to have to get into all of this, but on Martin Luther King Day, the point is these people are covering up the real crimes that are going on by trying to lead the very, very movement that should be basically indicting them, probably criminally, according to all the witnesses of Weinstein raping people. But it's the same thing on the false flags of racism. There's real racism. White people can be racist, black people, you name it. Asians can be racist. But most of us really care about each other, and I want to have a community of humanity. I want to move forward. I don't need to play race cards that, we adopted my sister from South Korea, and I love her just like my own blood. And then I get called a Nazi with no evidence by Tom Brokaw, and my lawyers just called me last week, and they said the statute of limitations is coming up. You ready to file that lawsuit? And it looks like I'm going to have to because I just can't put up with the crap anymore. But just like there's real racism going on, There's so much fake poop swastikas, fake cross burnings, the thing at the Air Force Academy. They're reporting that over 99% of the modern race hate crimes that go on are now turning out to be false flags.
And Jones this was back in the beginning of 2018. Wow.
By the left to invoke race in this country and get us all at each other's throats. Just like the documents that came out last week that they haven't denied from the Soros group trying to fund Antifa to cause riots in 2015 to trigger nationwide race war so that Obama could have martial law. And those documents came out, and they have full-page ads now calling for the same stuff in the New York Times. So this is grave, and what Steven Seagal is talking about and what the Patriots and U.S. intelligence.
How many people in the chat actually thought we'd be talking Steven Seagal on Alex Jones today? I told you none of you were ready for this level of receipts that we're bringing here.
Have asked us to come on air and talk about. This is serious, and we are striking back, and we are exposing the fact that the left is invoking race, the left is invoking sexism and all this as a smokescreen for their own activities and to turn us all against each other in a divide and conquer strategy. So Steven Seagal joins us, but I mean, obviously you follow the news. Every time it seems somebody writes racist stuff on a dorm or somebody burns a cross in a yard, it turns.
Can you guys imagine if Steven Seagal hosted InfoWars with Alex Jones? Wow.
The left is doing it. You know, that's like when the Jewish cemeteries were getting vandalized, the Jewish centers. Trump said, hey, this is probably staged. And they went, oh, you're an anti-Semite, even though he loves Jews and loves Israel. And his daughter's, you know, married to a prominent Orthodox Jewish man, Jared Kushner. I mean, it's just insane when they sit there and they use all this and then they continue to get caught.
I wonder if Seagal's going to say anything about Israel.
So with your background and also in law enforcement and all of it, I mean, it's clear they're trying to do this. Do you think it's working, and what can you add to that?
Well, I mean, you know, unfortunately, it is working in the sense that, and I'm going to go back to this and repeat myself, once these people figured out a way to control most of Hollywood and control most of the press, this became a crippling blow to America, because at that point, nobody knows the truth anymore. Nobody knows what's real and what's not. Our press is highly censored and highly manipulated. Our news is highly censored and highly manipulated. And so when you have a situation like that, when the average citizen in the United States of America doesn't really know what's true and what's not, they have to develop a real special kind of savvy, you know, by reading between the lines. And we're in a situation now where I can't think of any news network that is really telling the truth all the time. Can you?
No, I can't. And that's why they're just so scared of Drudge Report or InfoWars or an individual like you, because they don't like what we're saying, because we're simply pointing the elephant out in the room.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, there's a lot of other ways. We were talking this weekend, your book, your novel, The Way of the Shadow Wolves, the Deep State and the Hijacking of America. I mean, that's exactly what's happening. I've ordered the book. I haven't read it yet. I noticed that it went to close to #1 on Amazon, and then suddenly, and this has been in the news, they do this, they put fake reviews up on the top and remove your good reviews and basically drive them down and remove your stars.
I mean, look at this campaign against Seagal, clearly. This incredible, astute author, robbed of his position, of his rightful position of #1 best-selling author. I mean, clearly the fix is in against Seagal.
They admit Netflix does this to people they don't like. I mean, they're just rigging everything.
Yeah, we caught them doing that. We had all these great reviews that were with what we call verified purchases. And all of a sudden, one night, maybe 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks after the book had come out, between 3 o'clock in the morning and 6 o'clock in the morning, there were 30 bad reviews that came out at the same time, and then we knew.
And that seems to have also coincided with Ellen DeGeneres, her wife coming out with these accusations as well as this other model. That coincides with the funny business with meddling with Seagal's book. What another coincidence? Is there no end to the coincidence stack in their propaganda smear campaign against the one and only Steven Seagal?
And right after that, they started doing that. They started setting up a situation where all of our good reviews that were from verified purchases were being pushed down to the bottom, and all the bad reviews were glaringly right out in front. And then I figured out, what was happening right away.
It's amazing. And then again, I don't know if you're familiar with this or know this, but I mean, literally almost every night on the so-called comedy shows, they attack you viciously and attack your book, you name it. I mean, it's so transparent. I mean, I know it's probably rough on you. It happens to me too, but isn't it deep down kind of something that you're honored to know that these really bad people don't like you, Steven Seagal?
Well, it's kind of like Joe Arpaio once said to me. I remember we were searching for a very, very bad guy, and nobody could find him, and I found this guy and, was able to arrest him. We sat down with a private conversation, and he said to me, Steven, I know all these people are coming for me. I know they hate me. But he said, you know me very well. You know what I am. And he said, but all these people that hate me, whether they win or lose and crucifying me or derailing me or kicking me out, I want you to know that many of this ilk of people who hate me, I consider a badge of honor.
Absolutely. And the cowards that go along with the mainstream media and are intimidated by this, they don't know what it's like to actually be in the arena. And, you've been a guy in the arena, and again, I'm not kissing your ass. It's true. People that are willing to go up against Hollywood, go up against the media, that's what it's all about. And that's the type of trailblazing that allows us to even have any type of civilization. I think we're starting to turn the tide, though. Globally, nationalism, sovereignty, mainstream media is in trouble, Hollywood's falling apart. I mean, I think we're seeing the beginning of the death throes here.
I mean, like I said, it's now going to be two-way traffic, because even somebody thinks, paying somebody to lie is legal. There is some stuff that we're looking at that we think is criminal. And by the way, treason is criminal. So we are investigating everybody now. Those people who about, they're investigating this and that, and they're accusing me of, a myriad of different things, we're investigating them now. And when I say we, I'm not talking about little people. So all these people who have been lying because they got money.
I mean, that's another thing, too. Like, if Seagal really does have these high-level connections, does that also explain possibly why people can't get to him? I mean, not that there would be anybody who would even want to try to get to him. I mean, obviously, he's too deadly. But, yeah, I mean, is it possible he's doing all this without high-level connections? And also, just to really illustrate the point here, how many multi-millionaire actors and musicians would do a reality show where they literally put their life on the line? I mean, think about that. And then come out against the New World Order publicly.
And all these people who've been paid to lie, you know what, man? It's two-way traffic now. There is a movement, and that movement is not just in America, it's all over the world. There are thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people, I think it's hundreds of thousands of people, who really, really resent what these people have done to America.
I mean, come on. Steven Seagal calling out the Illuminati cabal. I mean, he's blowing the whistle. I mean, even his whistleblowing prowess. I mean, this guy's one of the greatest whistleblowers of all time. I mean, this guy's like another Snowden or Assange here. I mean, this is crazy. Again, is this expose on Steven Seagal, like, the whole time people think he's exaggerating and lying, but he was actually downplaying his abilities in all of these fields?
Oh, I think it's tens of millions just in the United States and globally. That's what they really fear, is the global leadership, people like yourself and Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump, just promoting sovereignty, promoting free market, promoting coming together. I mean, that's all Trump does. And then they take things out of context. They lie. They just do anything they can to try to stop us getting control of our nations again. We've got more straight ahead. I've got even other key questions with the one, the only Steven Seagal. I'm Alex Jones, Infowars.com, Newswars.com. Again, if you're watching this transmission, ladies and gentlemen, you are the resistance, and I hope everybody's having a great Martin Luther King Day. There aren't a lot of people out there that I can say are my peers when it comes to going through the meat grinder of Hollywood and the globalists and the lies they spew. And I know for a fact they've had PIs and so-called journalists living in Austin for 2 years, going around trying to find somebody to make something up. And by the grace of God, they haven't been successful. But when you experience this and you experience them trying to make you an example to scare all the sheeple, and then you see other people that are being persecuted, you respect people that have skin in the game, and they become folks that are right there in the trenches with you. And when they demonized me and said I work for Russia in House Intelligence Committee and defense meetings, and they had to have kooks come in, leftist policy wonk, not even real CIA people, not covert action people, but policy wonks, leftist foundation types, coming in and saying Jones has got to be stopped, shut Jones down. You've seen the hearings. And then there's no proof. I've never been to Russia. I'd like to go, but at the same time, it made me pay more attention to Russia and really hear what Putin says and watch these 3-hour press conferences he gives. And I'm like, man, that guy's really smart. He says the things that really make sense. And he's trying to promote the family and tax cuts for people that have children. And he's promoting Christianity. And he's shutting down the Soros foundations that are openly trying to overthrow their nation and trying to subvert their children. And that's what we should be doing. My God, we have Soros documents where they're trying to cause race war and martial law. You see what they're doing. These people are incredible dirtbags. And that's why I'm here today standing up against this garbage, because it covers up for the real racism. It covers up for the real sexual abuse that goes on. And it's a bunch of pedophiles in Hollywood trying to cover their butts right now because they know there's an awakening. They know we're angry. They know we're upset, and they want to direct us in on ourselves. But I'm telling them, you see nationalism rising. You see humanity awakening. And as Steven Seagal said, it's a two-way street now. And the sleeping giant has awoken.
And the sleeping giant is Steven Seagal.
Steven, I know you've got a lot to say and a lot of points we haven't gotten to yet, but just recapping all of this, let's get into Vladimir Putin and why they fear him so much, and why do they hate Trump so much as well, from your research and also personal knowledge.
Well, I mean, I'll just give you an example. Don't you think it's interesting that with ISIS, for example, do you think, I mean, ISIS is almost annihilated now. Who do you think did that? And how do you think it got done? And how many billions of dollars was spent doing it? I mean, 90% of getting rid of ISIS, as far as I know, was Russia and Vladimir Putin. Am I wrong?
It's probably over 90%.
Yeah, exactly, 99%. So, you know, those people who are worried about their way of life and their religion and the way they live and it being protected from people who are slaughtering women and children and Muslims and Christians and anyone, anywhere they can. You know, there's one man who did more to annihilate them than anybody, and that's Vladimir Putin and Russia. And so I just wonder, you know, what it is that people, what do they want to believe when they're being told all these things about him?
I mean, seriously, though, is Steven Seagal the most prolific human Earth has ever produced, or what? I mean, everything from the martial arts career, the music career, the acting career. And now he's this geopolitical master as well, writer. I mean, is there anything this guy can't do? I mean, he's educating these MMA fighters and champions. I mean, is there anything this guy can't do? He can make families on multiple continents. I mean, this guy's just prolific at everything he does.
That are negative. I mean, the fact of the matter is, somebody, I forget who it was, they said, yeah, Vladimir Putin is this kind of a terrible, rotten person. I mean, let's face it, he was head of the KGB. Oh, that's right. That must make him terrible. And wasn't George Bush head of the CIA? So what's the difference?
That's kind of a weird statement, though, because first of all, wasn't Seagal anti-Bush? And furthermore, wouldn't that equate Putin with Bush? That's kind of a weird statement by Seagal. Is he playing 5D chess here?
You know what I mean? It's just hilarious how these people think.
Well, continue, because I mean, you're a humble guy, but you're really good friends with Putin. And, you know, if Putin was promoting communism, if Putin was anti-Christian, if he was promoting radical Islam, I mean, Europe is openly flooding itself with 80% military-age men, 10 million plus. They want to bring in another 10 million. And Eastern Europe and Putin, because they got invaded so much during the jihads, and of course the Crusades were a response to that, that now he's the bad guy when it's, until Trump came along, it's only been Putin standing up to radical Islam.
Those are my words exactly. I mean, I think that's what I just said. And, you know, I literally talk to people on the street or wherever I go. Sometimes people say, well, you know, Russia, I mean, you can walk down the street and you can be kidnapped immediately. And it's this dangerous place where there are goats running down the street and people, you know, still, using horse and buggy. It's like, wow, you know, there's this kind of propaganda, and the propaganda is actually working. The fact of the matter is, you know, Russia's a very, very educated country. They have some of the best medical education in the world. They are very, very cultured. They have some of the best musicians in the world. They have the Bolshoi Ballet, probably the best ballerinas in the world. They have amazing medical system. They are very educated, very, very nice, polite people. Russia is one of the nicest places you could ever go. And some of the best scientists. And we can all benefit from this friendship, because if Russia and America get together and become brothers, there's no stopping us. We can be, you know, a force in the world and have the greatest security and the greatest peacemaking capability on Earth. And that's all I've ever tried to do. And for that, I'm being demonized, you know, so it's funny.
Listen, I know you don't want to wade into a whole nother fight, but we know what's really going on. We talked about.
I mean, this is kind of crazy. I mean, Seagal, the embodiment of George Washington, Paul Revere, and now possibly even Gandhi, and some of these other peacekeepers. Now, I know there's a lot of controversy regarding Gandhi, but just in the NPC mind, is this, I mean, does this really cement Seagal's legacy here?
Geopolitically, China has bought up Hollywood. It's bought up most of the companies. It's China trying to censor things. It's China manipulating things through the Democratic Party particularly. And that's the real wedge there. People think China and Russia are close. That's actually historically not the case. And so for people that don't understand geopolitically who wants this wedge, can you give people your perspective, not on the Chinese people, but on the Chinese communist leadership?
Well, I mean, they are brilliant strategists, as you know. Some of the best in the world. And when they do strategy and look at geopolitical strategy, they don't, like some people in some countries, they don't look at today tomorrow or next week or next month or next year. For a long, long time, they're looking 50 years ahead, 100 years ahead, 200 years ahead.
I mean, Seagal's geopolitical wisdom seems to be completely unmatched here. I mean, just absolutely unmatched.
And they've come up with a genius strategy, which is basically the point that they're at right now. They have tremendous assets, tremendous financial assets, and tremendous financial power. And basically, their strategy is to buy into everything and own everything they can. Therefore, they feel that at this point they will be able to control what they own, and rightfully so.
I mean, here's Seagal blowing the whistle on China at the beginning of 2018.
So, I'm not condemning them or anything else. I'm just saying that they're brilliant strategists and have set up a situation where they are able to enter into any of the countries out there in the world, or almost any, and do very, very well because of their strategy.
That's right, and now they've bought up most of our debt. They've got 97% of rare earth minerals. I mean, you talk about who's taking us over. The point is, it's not Russia, it's China. And ladies and gentlemen, we are back with the final segment with Steven Seagal. He's been on with us for, an hour and a half or so. And again, I have been through some of the same stuff he's been through. I've experienced it. I sit there and I watch the news. I watch comedy shows. They attack me, then they attack Steven in order. And we've shown you the clips. We'll show some more clips of it.
One voice of calm in these troubled times is right-wing radio host and furious cashew Alex Jones.
We'll be right back with funny man Steven Seagal. And then I've got patriots in the Pentagon, patriots in other agencies that are like, listen, you just gotta deal with this. I mean, you're under attack. We're under attack by a group that has been using pedophilia and other sex crimes to blackmail and control, just like they took over the Vatican. And that's turned out the last pope had to step down because of blackmail. And then the
Wow, Alex Jones calling out everything from Hollywood to the Vatican here.
Deputy Pope just got arrested for trafficking 100 kids. But that gets almost no coverage. And then stuff from 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago with no proof. I mean, you got Gloria Allred with her client admitting she, made up the signature or the date on the annual, that she added it. I mean, it's crazy what these people have been caught in. So, Steven Seagal, maybe you've got some Aikido metaphors or other things, but you were just talking about the audience and the crew and the people and how we're in a revolution, against this. And I really kind of a call to arms politically. So please repeat what you were saying, because we have these great conversations, obviously, off air. Here in closing, just what you want folks to know and understand.
Well, I mean, as I said earlier, we're really blessed in the sense that recently a very, very big handful of very powerful people, high up in the government, high up in the intelligence community, also people with billions of dollars, are coming in and fighting with us. They're helping us get on the deep web. They're helping us find out everything we need to know about people who are paying people to lie and trying to crucify people that have absolutely nothing to do with what they're saying. And, the one thing that they kept saying to me is, now it's two-way traffic. And even though these lawyers and some of the people who've been paid to lie think, oh, well, my lawyer will protect me and I'm not doing anything criminal. Well, most of what they're doing is not criminal, but it looks like we may be finding some criminal activity. And so it's two-way traffic now. And we are investigating them. And we're already finding that some of the people that are writing articles and some of the people that are paying people are pedophiles themselves and involved in a lot of illegal activity with these different secret rings that we are now looking at. So guess what? We are investigating you now. and it's not going to stop. We are coming after you.
Wow. And that's the thing is,
has anybody called out the Illuminati cabal in such bold words as Steven Seagal? He flat out told them he's coming for them. I mean, he's flat out coming for them. I mean, the propaganda just really started getting rolling after this interview.
from our sources, but also the research, it's also clear, look at the news, they did not want us to get together. That's why they've been preemptively demonizing, attacking, and, you know, it's just crazy that...
And scrubbed this interview from the internet. If not for AI, I would not have been able to even recover this.
You've been trying to get in touch with me. I've been trying to get in touch with you for a long time. And we're both so busy and have so many contacts that it kind of gets lost like a needle in a haystack. But I know talking that what they feared is now happening. And anytime you want to come on the broadcast, it's an open door. And I'm just very honored to have you here. And it was great talking to your wife earlier and your great family. And I think just in closing, when they attack us, they attack due process. They attack all of your rights.
I mean, is there a more powerful team against the Illuminati cabal than Alex Jones and Steven Seagal?
And they're attacking our children, aren't they, Steven? I mean, I'm not putting words in your mouth. I'm just repeating things that I wrote notes this weekend. I mean, would you like to speak about, you're a human being. You have a family, and they're not just attacking you with these lies.
Let me tell you something that I haven't told you. The person who wrote this article on this woman who I don't believe ever met me, who can't even produce a picture with me, can't even say where I really lived 25 years ago or whatever, this person contacted my children. So to me, that's war. And he also told one of my producers that he wants to make sure that my movies don't come out. So that means he wants to kill my children because he doesn't want me to be able to feed my children. So you want war, you got war.
Wow, making Steven Seagal annoyed is probably not a good idea.
That's what I never get, is these people attack and attack and attack, and then we go after them, and then they freak out. It's like, well, what do you expect us to do, morons?
All I can say is, you, Alex, and me, we will never do anything illegal, but you know what? We don't have to. We don't have to do anything illegal to be able to put people in jail or expose them to the world. And guess what? It's in the works. It's in the works.
Wow, powerful words from Steven Seagal. It's in the works.
Well, it's amazing, and I don't like the Snoop system, and I don't like the whole deal, but, you know, the patriots in the government have access to all these systems, and they know everything about me, and they know that I'm a person that really means what I'm saying, and I've been through a lot, and I'm not whining about it. And they've tried to destroy me, and they've literally tried to take my children from me, and they've literally said, you know, you back off and you throw Trump under the bus, and all the pressure stops, buddy, and you'll have your big Hollywood job, everything else. Well, I already turned down the money years ago. I did it all, and I'm not bragging. I'm just letting the listeners know this isn't a movie. This is the real world. We're doing it. We're talking the talk. We're walking the walk, and we're having an effect. But your prayers, your support out there, listeners.
I mean, it's no wonder they had to scrub this interview from the internet. I mean, this kind of interview, I mean, this much power together, Alex Jones and Steven Seagal, the internet can't handle this.
Viewers, no matter what color you are, where you came from, we're all in this together. And they're scared of what Trump's doing. They're scared of what Putin's doing. They're scared of what we're doing. There's no truth to the Russian collusion. The only truth is Russia is escaping from the same globalist nightmare. And any of us that have goodwill are the enemy, because we're not like Weinstein. We're not like Oprah Winfrey, part of her big eugenics cult she's in, you know, meeting at the Cold Springs Harbor facility, meeting with the Rockefellers. I mean, pull up mainstream news to depopulate the earth. I mean, these are sick, sick, sick people. And so I'm honored to be hated by them. I'm not saying I'm a hero. I'm saying we're in this fight now. It's real. Steven Seagal, the book, again, is The Way of the Shadow Wolves, the Deep State, and the Hijacking of America. Just like they can take you from 5 stars down to 3.
I mean, is Steven Seagal really really a modern-day Bill Cooper. I mean, this guy's like Paul Revere, Bill Cooper, Martin Luther King, Gandhi, the Dalai Lama reincarnated deity, interdimensional savant of every single category in history. I mean, this is just absolutely insane. I mean, how can anyone doubt Seagal now?
You can go read it and put it right back up there, I guess, until, you know, they pull something else. But it's just an ongoing fight. None of us are going to save the world together. I mean, none of us are going to save the world by ourselves, but we are going to be able to save the world together if we take action. We got about a minute and a half left, and just anything else you'd like to add?
Well, very simply that we are family people. We are men of God. We are people who bow down to the great people, not only in America, but in America and around the world, who serve our country, who serve God, and are about protecting our countries, our children, and our way of life. This is all we're trying to do, and we should not be punished for that.
I've got one last question, just because all the stuff that's been going on the last 3 days, we've been talking, and the sources and the people we both mutually know and others. You know, you've obviously gone out and been a deputy and been on all these raids and, you know, have served your country. The media makes fun of that because they're evil and because they invert reality. But I know huge movie stars and you know, you've been at the top of the box office, #1 movies many times. People like you get recruited as ambassadors when you go overseas by different agencies. And I haven't been told that, but I got a sneaking suspicion, Steven Seagal, that you've done more than what you've even said here when they make fun of your service to the country.
Wow, Alex Jones mirroring my own sentiment here. I mean, in this expose of Seagal, everybody claims he exaggerates and he lies. But is it possible he understated everything he has done?
I'm going to remain silent on that and say thank you for your support.
All right. Thank you so much, Steven Seagal. We're going to go to break. I'm going to say bye to you here. I know it's late over there in Asia where you are. But again, ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate Steven Seagal spending so much time with us today. I'm Alex Jones with Infowars.com and Newswars.com, and we need your support.
Okay, so that was recovered, a deleted video. Now, he had another appearance. On the Alex Jones show a week later. And I have managed to recover even that. So this is his January 2018
Ladies and gentlemen, we have breaking
appearance. I don't have the exact date, but it was roughly a week later. So let's look at this interview. And let's look at the specific allegations against him. Again, all coming on the tail end of him whistleblowing. He writes this book, this groundbreaking book, calling out the cabal. He appears on Piers Morgan, blowing the whistle on the cabal. Then he does it again on the Alex Jones show. And then all of these alleged allegations within this timeline. Is it all mere coincidence?
Ladies and gentlemen, we have breaking news here exclusively. Right before I went on air, I got off the phone with an individual who clearly, in my research and view, in my opinion, has been targeted by the deep state. I personally have been targeted by the operations of these systems. And so Steven Seagal joins us right now with an exclusive response to the queen of fake news and yellow journalism, Megyn Kelly.
Can you imagine the InfoWars ratings if Seagal was on Alex Jones every day?
And the pieces that she has been putting out, that's one of the top stories in the country. And his lawyer also joins us, Anthony Falangetti. So thank you so much for joining us. Gentlemen, whoever would like to speak first can, and you guys have the floor.
Well, thank you, Alex. This is Anthony Valengetti, and we appreciate the time to be able to come on your show and clear the air against these false accusations. And they are false. This woman has come out now again on Megyn Kelly's show to air these completely fictitious and made-up accusations about Mr. Seagal. And it's time for us to really go through what she's claiming, this fake story of hers, and start exposing that it's just a great big lie, and there's nothing more to it than that. A washed-up 40-year-old plus supposed actress with not a credit to her name.
Oh, no, he didn't? That was kind of harsh, though. That's kind of harsh.
Now is looking for her last chance, basically, to be relevant in an industry that she's had no history in. And that's what this is really about. She wants 15 minutes of fame, and that's why she's come out. That's why she's gone public. That's why she filed a police report for accusations, frankly, some 20-some-odd years ago, well outside the statute of limitations, all the while knowing that no prosecution can come of it. So why does she do it? She wants a desperate hope to be relevant again, a desperate hope to get 15 minutes of publicity. And that's what.
And again, if these claims against Seagal are legitimate, why would you use a lawyer who's already been exposed? Why would you use Harvey Weinstein's defense lawyer, who was exposed for these kickback deals on getting people to make up stories about Trump or whoever, while defending Harvey Weinstein against 80-plus possibly legitimate victims? I mean, it's just weird, right? Like, there's a lot of lawyers out there. You can find another lawyer that can make you look a lot more credible.
That's what this has been about from the get-go.
Again, that's the lawyer for Mr. Seagal, Anthony Valengetti. All I know, Anthony, and of course we'll get Stephen to pop in here live anytime he wants to, is that Lisa Bloom, it's come out in the news, even The Hill and the Associated Press and others have called it dark money taints women's accusations. And reportedly, now we learn that women have been offered by other lawyers and people millions of dollars to say things about President Trump, hundreds of thousands of dollars by Bloom. There it is, Lisa Bloom's infusion of dark money into world of sexual assault is a tragedy. That's The Hill. That's pretty liberal publication. And what do you think, just in general, this whole movement is about, Steven Seagal? And would you like to repeat any of the things you told me this morning or last night?
Well, I mean, what you're really saying is that Lisa Bloom has paid women to lie about phony sexual assault. And, you know, we have strong reason to believe that this is happening again. We are investigating them, and we are getting on to something very special. You know, it's interesting to me, like what you were saying about Megyn Kelly. Apparently, the first show was getting 6 million people that went down to 2 million. She got fired. Then she got the magazine show. She got fired off of that. And from what I'm hearing, this show is dwindling and probably will end soon. So it's sort of a desperate attempt for her to try to come up with something to crucify people. She doesn't care if they're innocent or not, in my opinion, just so that she can get her ratings up. The thing that I find interesting is this woman is saying she was in my movie. There's no record of her being in my movie. She doesn't have a credit. We've looked through the movie. She's not in the movie. She says she came to my home in Beverly Hills. Guess what? I didn't have a home in Beverly Hills. So she gets the city wrong. Then Megyn says, well, is there anything you remember about the home? There was a table. There was a table.
Wow. There's a table in a home? I mean, I don't know. That's kind of convincing. I mean, who doesn't have a table?
Yeah. What do you think about that, Anthony, that there was a table there? I mean, you know what I mean?
Yes, Alex.
Yes, Anthony.
You know, I've been practicing criminal law for over 22 years, and I started off as a prosecutor in LA County, which I did for more than a decade. And when you do it as long as I have, you learn something about reading people's story, about reading their demeanor. And one of those things is truth lies in the details. And this woman's story, whether it's the one in print or whether it's the one that she gave to Megyn Kelly, the bottom line is it's bereft of any legitimate details. There's nothing genuine about it. And the lack of details shows that it's not authentic. Oh, what do you remember about his house? A table? You're that insightful that you remember a table? And look at in a picture of his then wife, another actress, Kelly LeBrock. That's not anything newsworthy. Everybody knew about that. So it's not like this woman has offered up any single detail.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, if you say a guy, an A-list Hollywood guy, I mean, if he's got a table and a picture of his wife, I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't dismiss that outright. I really wouldn't. I mean, so what if she got the city of where his house was in wrong? I mean, I don't know.
Outside of this house, about the inside of the house, or even about the actual accusations, nothing rings true.
Anthony Fallon, Jetty, I should also add, I mean, I've seen you in famous high-profile cases when you were a prosecutor, and I probably should have asked that question. I mean, as a former star prosecutor, so many of these stories, there's just nothing there, and it's always 10, 20, 25, 30 years ago, and then in so many cases, it does turn out to be a false, and then the media just gives it total attention like it's absolutely real. There's no standards of justice, no standard of proof, no standard of anything, and then whoever's been accused is supposed to be destroyed, their family's destroyed, they're supposed to be fired, they're supposed to be ruined, they're supposed to basically go commit suicide, and then the media, I mean, clearly has got some type of major agenda here.
Well, one of the difficult things,
the agenda
Alex,
is,
clearly.
The agenda is, go ahead, Anthony, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, Alex, one of the most difficult things is that these stories come out. They come out in the media, and as you said, there's no burden of proof. There's no professional ethic that guides the reporting or the detail of these stories. There's no constitutional protections in the media for people who are accused. And obviously what happens is somebody has carte blanche to wheel out these claims. They're not subject to actual critical questions. And the damage to a man like Steven Seagal is done without repair, without him having any form to bounce back or really to get his side of the story out in the same fair manner. Oh, and of course then, when it comes out, when the truth finally does come out, then the press slowly drifts away and acts like the false accusations never happened. And it doesn't really provide justice to the accused in any way. And as I said, this woman, as long as I have been doing this, you know, this is important to remember. When somebody is victimized the way she claims to be, when they're victimized, even 23 years later, they're going to remember real, genuine, and specific details, which she doesn't. Even when she describes the event, it completely lacks any details. She doesn't even claim that she said no to the advances, which tells you that she's desperately trying to fabricate a story that in some way will draw to the appeal of people. And now she's suddenly come out today with some claim that, oh, he was being aggressive. When accusations like this are so vague, my meter of dishonesty rings through the roof, because vagary like that is
through the roof by this veteran prosecutor here. Lord Zed in the chat says, if it's past statute of limitations, should get penalty for accusing, time ran out. I disagree. I think there should be investigation without naming anybody publicly. Like real investigation by investigators, not going to the media. And get the evidence. If the evidence is there, get it. Because, you know, if it's true, obviously the accused needs to be punished.
The telltale sign that someone's not being truthful.
So you're saying, as a former top prosecutor, star prosecutor, that this is classic embellishment Like, who knows if the original story is true and has problems, but now it's getting wilder. Maybe there were 2 guys there, 5 guys. I'm not talking about her case, but just randomly things begin to change, sends up red flags. We got a 2-minute break, gentlemen. We're going to come right back and hear from Steven Seagal on the other side, exclusively here with his lawyer, giving you the response to this big top news story here in the U.S. I was talking to Steven Seagal last night and this morning, and he had some very heartfelt, very, I think, compelling things to say that just at a gut level rang true to me. Plus what we've seen was put done to the president, now admitted. Some women offered up to $2 million by big Democratic Party donors to say that Trump raped them. The women have recorded this. I know the FBI has it. We first broke that months ago. That's now been in the news. So we know there's a bunch of foul play going on. I don't know personally about this latest thing or what happened, and I want to think this person's a great person. I don't have a dog in that fight. I just know Steven Seagal and his lawyers, a former star prosecutor, what they're saying I followed. It has gone on. The story is very vague. A lot of it's wrong. Now things are being added. This is a short segment, longer segment coming up, so don't hang up. We go to break here in 4 minutes, Steven. Steven Seagal, please repeat to the listeners what you said to me last night and this morning about what you believe is behind this, and you categorically what you said.
Well, I mean, I believe 1,000,000%, and it's coming now out now. It's in the news. There is a secret society within our government. This is a full coup d'etat right now. It's just secret.
Wow. Did you catch that? Another mind shock bomb dropped by Seagal about a secret society here. I mean, this guy's like a modern day JFK. I mean, this guy's channeling George Washington, Paul Revere, Martin Luther King. I mean, this is crazy. And JFK as well.
And Congress is interviewing informants right now that are talking about this, and they are completely confirming that the sole purpose of this secret society is to overthrow Trump and destroy anyone who is friends with Trump or supporting Trump, and particularly supporting Putin. And once they do this, their agenda is to be able to overthrow the America that is there now and start a war with Russia. That's what we all are starting to see.
Wow. I mean, does everybody realize why these interviews were scrubbed from the internet yet? I mean, he's literally talking about a secret society plummeting towards a war with Russia January 2018.
I've never struck a woman. I have yelled at girlfriends, and I'm not a perfect man, but I'm a gentleman in many ways, I would say. We've had private discussions. You and I, if you want to repeat to folks, I mean, obviously none of us are perfect, but are any of these allegations true?
I do not believe that I've met any of these girls except for one who was in a movie with me. I am a gentleman and a humble, gentle man. And I believe I know where all of this is coming from. And, as I've said to you before, I think these are all made-up stories. And, I not only resent it, but this is something that is designed to destroy my life, destroy my income, destroy my marriage, destroy my children and my children's lives. And it is evil what they're doing.
Well, I checked in a lot of folks that have known you for decades, and they say you're a gentle giant, super nice, super kind, super flattering, and that this is just all complete horse manure. Before I just had you on or started talking to you in the last month, I made some phone calls, and they said, Steven Seagal, that guy is like a total gentleman, just absolutely nice and friendly. And I asked, well, why is this happening? And they just said it's all part of the modern hysteria.
Well, that too. But, like I say, there's a deeper, darker picture here going on. And what's really happening, in my opinion, is not just the witch hunt and the McCarthyism, but it's also, I believe, and I shouldn't be the one to say this, but I will, and I'm sure you'll confirm it, I'm also being persecuted for my political views and my political affiliations.
We know for a fact that's happening to scores of people. We know there's a program, and we know Democrats who've been caught doing the things that they accuse other people of get a free ride. I mean, where's the media on Bill Clinton settling sexual assault cases? We're back in 60 seconds. Again, Murphy's Law, your connection's so clear at night and in the morning, but I think we've got you conference called in maybe on the same line with your lawyer, so there's a little bit of breakup. I want to be able to recap that, add any other key points, Steven Seagal, and then have former prosecutor there in Southern California and your lawyer, Anthony Falangetti, finish up some points as well. Exclusively, Steven Seagal responds to the latest allegations on InfoWars. Stay with us. Ladies and gentlemen, we're back live into the second hour. Steven Seagal joins us exclusively with his lawyer, Anthony Falangetti. And Steven Seagal is responding to the big national news story launched by Megyn Kelly, who I found to be an extremely deceptive yellow journalist, the true mold of fake news in a fake news world. I'm not going to go into all the things she did where she'd take a question, said 15 minutes before, and then put a whole nother answer on the end, so I sounded completely insane. But, I mean, I saw videos yesterday that they were putting graphics over on CNN where they were cutting up what the president had said in a statement to make him sound crazy. So all I know is she's a very disingenuous person, and I documented it. I never record people secretly, but I recorded her because it was so ridiculous when I'm obsessed with you, you're so handsome, you're so sexy. I said, hey, let me get to the office. I got to the office, I recorded her. You hear the gushing, the lying, the BS. So I find it very fitting. I don't know about this woman, and I'm just here, getting Steven Seagal's statement out here, and he's brought up some really cogent points. So is his lawyer. But I know this: Megyn Kelly attached to this with her show going from almost 8 million viewers to 6 million to 2 million, losing the Dateline NBC gig, now kicked to this morning program, and she can't even get along with all the leftists. So I think this is a desperate publicity stunt to jump on the Me Too bandwagon by Megyn Kelly to try to make herself relevant, and I don't think it's going to work. What is your view on that, Mr. Seagal?
Well, I mean, I think you're right, but, once again, I hate to say this. I think that when you say yellow journalism, the thing that is very, very heartbreaking is that we have 90 to 95% fake journalism, fake news. 90 to 95% of the news in America now is fake news.
There you have it, straight from Seagal's mouth. 90+% fake news across the board.
So nobody, as I said to you before, nobody knows what's true and what's not. And when you're in a situation like that where you don't know what's true and what's not, how can you weather the storm? How can you walk forward? How can you do anything and know that you're right about what you're doing? How can you make a decision and know that you're right?
If I said that Donald Trump raped me 25 years ago, there are lawyers that would give me millions of dollars. Would anyone take that as credible? Because I'm a man, but and we know men do get sexually assaulted, and it's a real issue, and a lot of these women have courage that have gone public. But in so many of these cases, they've turned out to be fake. We have all the leftists caught burning crosses, poop swastikas, attacking their own dorms, the Air Force Academy, and the media runs with those. And almost every one of those has turned out to be fake. You said 40% last time you were on. Some of the law enforcement numbers are 50% of sexual assault reports are false. But again, your phone's very clear now. Would you just, for the record, Mr. Seagal, repeat what you've said on and off the record about this, not just your case, but the whole firestorm?
Well, I mean, I think I quoted Michelle Milken when she went in and did, extensive research into FBI files and law enforcement files, and she got crucified for what she said. But what she basically said is, when people make reports and accusations and file claims, they often lie. Sometimes they lie because they're being paid to lie. Sometimes they lie because they want to assassinate their enemy. Sometimes they lie because they want to become famous. Whatever their reasons are, there are many reasons why they lie. And, of course,
There are those people that are, really, really legitimate victims, and those people should be protected and supported in every way. But the people who are lying about claims for all these other reasons are damaging the credibility or the hope of the real victim.
Very, very powerful words there from the one and only Steven Seagal. I mean, again, these videos were completely scrubbed from the internet. I wonder why.
Anthony Falangetti, I want to go back to Mr. Seagal here in a moment, but any other points as a former prosecutor that you'd like to make about this case, this particular one that Megyn Kelly has picked up on?
Well, yeah, I would like to follow up on some of the discussion. In many ways, we are seeing in our criminal justice system today real crisis of credibility. There are serious issues of credibility because people are so easily motivated to be dishonest. And I think culturally, as a society, we have to get back to reinforcing honesty as a fundamental virtue, because when we've steered away from that critical moral demand that we tell the truth, and the more our society steers away from that, the more we start thinking, if I lie about something for some other reason or some other good, whether it's the good of our country or the good of my own benefit, those motives, if we justify lying based on those motives, we will have serious credibility issues, and it jeopardizes a fundamental aspect of our criminal justice system. Our justice system relies on the idea that someone will take the witness stand and look over at the judge and look over at the jury and tell the truth. And it's obviously it's my job to work through the accusations of a client or the witness's statement to help determine whether or not they're being truthful, or if they're not being truthful, bring that out. And in this one, notice this woman goes on to Megyn Kelly's show. She was not cross-examined. The reason why in our society the right to cross-examine is so...
Man, this guy's kind of sharp. Seagal's lawyer Falangetti spitting facts here.
Fundamental to the American justice system is that justice demands the search engine of truth, cross-examination, to be applied to accusations like this, because accusations like this can destroy people wrongfully and without a fair vetting of the accusations, without a fair vetting of the story. Good men like Steven Seagal get accused of things they didn't do, and the media runs with it. And that's not what American justice is supposed to be about.
You know what's kind of crazy, too? Do you think Seagal instructed Falangetti to refer to him as a good man instead of a great man? Because, I mean, the downplaying of Seagal, his achievements, his abilities, I mean, it really seems like Seagal, just his whole life, has always been downplaying his abilities.
And on a particular area, this is a perfect example of what I find astonishing and completely absurd about this woman's accusation. This woman claims that when she was 18 years old, she went to an open call to be...
And I think in some versions they changed it to 17, which is kind of shady, almost as if to make it seem even worse. Now, if it really happened, it happened, but yeah, this is weird.
An extra in this movie, and because she was young and naive and so innocent, she had to be escorted to that open call by her brother. But then, lo and behold, in the moment that all of these accusations allegedly come out of, she travels to Southern California all by herself and goes to a Hollywood rap party, allegedly was what she thought she was doing, all by herself. She drives her by herself. She doesn't go with any friend. She doesn't go with any escort. Suddenly she goes all by herself. And the juxtaposition of those two claims by her really just explodes on the dishonesty scale. It's obviously contrived. And she wants to have it both ways. She wants to be innocent, and then she wants to be attending this party at the same time, or thinking that she's attending the party. and it's absurd.
Well, Mr. Falangetti, that's the point I'm getting in here is I believe Stephen. I've seen the climate. I've seen what goes on. But even if I didn't, which I do, he deserves a place to say something. He came on for an hour and 15 minutes 11 days ago. It got millions of views online. Millions of people heard it here. No media would pick up what he actually said. Since when do you not even get to respond if you're a celebrity or anybody else to accusations, and then no one wants to even put in the news what you said? That shows the massive media agenda. Mr. Seagal?
I mean, listen, like I said, she cannot provide a photograph of her and I together. Anthony described, how do you describe the photograph that they put out?
Yeah, the one photograph put out is kind of silly. It reminds me of a movie star walking down Sunset Boulevard and a crowd of fans gathering around him, and one fan will take like a selfie of herself or have somebody take a picture of herself with this movie star 20, 30 feet behind with a bunch of other people. And that's her claim to corroborate her allegations, is this silly photo that looks like she's just a fan trying to get an image of him in the background.
Well, we know this whole movement in general by the media is to create a witch hunt to bring down the president and the American recovery. We need to put bookends on this, gentlemen. We'll be right back to finish up with Steven Seagal. All right, folks, we have got Milo Yiannopoulos riding shotgun with us, best-selling author, researcher, needs no introduction. For the balance of the transmission, we've got reporters coming on live from Davos, former Davos board member joining us, coming up, Ted Malloch as well. So much big news, but finishing up with Anthony Falangetti, the former prosecutor there in Los Angeles and also the lawyer for Steven Seagal. And Steven Seagal, we were going to break as we were making that last point about due process and the people that have been accused of things decades later not getting quoted even in the press. This is a whole new level. What do you think's behind this?
Well, you know, truly, Alex, in these instances, innocent people, due process is here to protect the innocent citizens of our society. Look, the public needs to remember that in this age where accusations are all that matter in destroying a human being, they need to stop and think that an innocent man like Steven Seagal, who did not rape this woman, who is innocent, should be entitled to be heard. And if it's a public relations war, which is what they're trying to wage now, 20-something years after the event, he should be entitled to equal time. And the press should have him on, and the press should acknowledge that he has a different version of events and he is innocent, and they should do their duty to ask tougher questions. They should actually do investigative journalism for once and look for the truth, as opposed to looking for headlines or to sell their paper or to sell their show. And our society needs to remember that in this flood of information, they need to start looking for the truth and asking questions about what they're told and what they hear. This woman is making fictitious accusations. They're total lies. Steven Seagal is an innocent man, and he should be entitled to be heard as such.
Exactly. I mean, I had some media that they wouldn't cover when he was on a few weeks ago, but say, how dare you have him on? I mean, that's like you don't even get a trial in the media now. As you said, that's it. It's a PR campaign. Forget this particular allegation in the equation. The whole thing is one-sided, and you never get to actually hear from the people being accused.
These cases were all dropped, by the way.
Just, they're guilty, it's over, because the Clintons knew they had a problem. They lost the election because they were predators. They're all forgotten now, and it's all Donald Trump, and it's everybody else and any man. Amazing. Steven Seagal, I know this.
Even Milo Yiannopoulos can't believe this. I mean, yeah, this is crazy.
This is rough on you, but I appreciate you coming on and, letting folks actually hear directly from you. Closing comments, please.
No, I mean, I thank you, Alex, for hearing us out. And I pray for a time where America goes back to the way it used to be, where, the innocent or people were presumed innocent until they're proven guilty. And people's constitutional rights are protected. Nowadays, it seems like There's so many of these people that are extreme leftists that want to get rid of our Constitution. And, I'm just very, very afraid for the future of America, really, the way things are going. People are talking about McCarthyism, and this is a witch hunt. Several hundred actors have been crucified already.
Yeah, Dub in the chat here talking about the allegations of RAPED. I believe this is the only one. All the other ones, I think, were yes. Either some of them possibly didn't even involve any touching.
Where is this going? It's really, really heartbreaking to see this happen to America.
Well, I have to say it. I was the first to say it earlier last year, and I said they're going to burn their own, even before they did, to make it look legitimate. Everybody knows they're so illegitimate. Hollywood to start claiming stuff about Trump, and then they're going to build this snowball where accusations enough and then try to use it. But then even Al Franken later admitted, I've been told by Democrats, this is a thing to build up credibility to get Trump. Well, I may not even resign now. He finally said that because this is bull. They're not resigning. I'm not going to resign. So that's really what this has come down to. And I think it hurts real men and real women and real children that are assaulted. I know privately you've talked about there are real assaults, real people out there that do bad things. You've got daughters, you've got children. You're absolutely against that. And this hurts the people that are really being hurt out there. So Steven Seagal, thank you so much for the time. Mr. Falangetti, thank you so much. And hopefully the so-called media, the fake news media, will actually quote you at least 1/10% as much as they quote the people making the accusation. So, again, thank you so much for joining us.
No, they'll probably try to take what we say and move the words around and, manipulate the words and misquote us.
That's what they do. All right. Thank you so much, gentlemen.
Thank you, Alex.
Someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
These InfoWars edits are wild. Okay, so one more thing here is so they scrubbed these two interviews from the internet. It was very difficult to get them back. I had to build an entire custom AI just to get some of them back. But on the tail of this, they found another woman who was added to the allegations here. Now, here's the thing. So this was March. So this was that March. Now, by the way, these cases were all dropped. So this was March 20th. So this is about 2 months later. Less than 2 months later, they found somebody else. Now, you know what's weird? They only found these two? I mean, that's kind of weird. And why is she teaming up with Harvey Weinstein's defense attorney, who's caught taking money and kickback deals on people who are coming out with allegations all these decades later? I mean, out of all the attorneys out there, these two women picked her? Weinstein's attorney? Does this pass the sniff test, people? Does it pass the sniff test? And so this is the timeline here. Seagal goes on Piers Morgan. Seagal makes unfavorable statements of Obama in 2014. He goes on Piers Morgan. Some of this might have started after that in 2014, but the major stuff starts after he becomes a major anti-Illuminati whistleblower on Piers Morgan 2017. Then all of this snowball starts. I mean, this is quite weird. This is all quite weird. The coincidence stack a mile high here. I mean, wow. Just a mile high. So, unfortunately, we can't wrap this up tonight. I mean, we've been going for almost 4 hours here. We're gonna have to bring even more receipts in part 3. So we're gonna have to finish this up tomorrow night if we can. We still gotta get into the Gene LeBell situation. the Bruce Lee situation, and then we have yet more unearthed interviews from way back in the day regarding Steven Seagal. I promise the most comprehensive, exhaustive Seagal podcast. I hope the MindShock listeners found that it delivered, and there's plenty more to come. I mean, who knows? Maybe the Seagal podcast series will become the longest running series in podcast history. There's just so much to go over here. I mean, prolific martial artist, actor, CIA, Illuminati whistleblower, author, musician, training UFC champions. I mean, is there anything this guy can't do? Is there anything at all? I mean, he even provides really good advice on how to handle a family member's boyfriend, unfavorable boyfriends. I'm gonna leave everybody tonight with this clip from Above the Law of Steven Seagal handling an unfavorable boyfriend. Here's the blueprint for handling a boyfriend who is a bad influence on a female family member.
This is what it looks like, my friend.
Listen, Alex, my cousin Seagal.
Oh, obviously.
This isn't what it looks like. Let's start this all over again. He finds is that his cousin in bed doing drugs, and it's not what it looks like.
This is what it looks like, my friend.
Listen, Alex, my cousin Seagal.
Oh, obviously, I didn't know they had all of this. Get out of here.
Oh, man!
Are you having a good time?
Pretty good time,
Come
man.
here. What is this shit, huh? You want to get high? Huh? You want to get high?
I mean, look at Seagal doing more good than the entire DARE program did in its entire existence in a single scene.
Just take it, baby. It's yours. It's $3,000, okay? It's a mattress. Surprise me, man. All right, man. Look, I'll give you something, okay? Something, lawyer. I don't know. You don't know, man.
Fucking pray to God you ain't bullshit me, man. Come back and tear your heart out.
That's how you handle unfavorable boyfriends. Hope everybody enjoyed another edition of the MindShock podcast. You want to help support the podcast, you can donate to our PayPal. Just check the link in the description. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications. You can also become a YouTube member right here on YouTube. Help support the channel that way. Like and share Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, Patreon. This is Bruce McGuire signing off. Catch you guys next time.